The old world calls. Torn apart by the greedy, weakened and exposed, forever on the defense. But no longer.
Welcome to the stream, my friends. I hope you're all having an excellent Friday. I know a lot of folks are staying at home, off work, off school. So hopefully I can give you guys some entertainment for the afternoon, for the evening. Let's go ahead and do it. This is the grand finals for the ECL Season 4. And today's stream is going to be the round of 8. So essentially it's going to be the first best of 3s here. So these 4 best of 3s will be played today on stream. Of course, done through replays for scheduling purposes. But then after that, the winners of this, obviously the round of 8, will be going on to play in the grand finals, which will be next weekend. It's going to be Saturday the 21st at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I'll be doing an announcement video for that and keeping you guys informed. So welcome. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you guys enjoyed the new trailer. Some minor tweaks. You know, I made some little changes here and there because I did show it on the King of the Hill the other day and people had some really good feedback. So I went through and changed a couple things, tried to tighten it up a little bit. So hopefully you guys do enjoy that. So welcome, welcome. Yes, we're here. We're doing it. It's time. So today will be a little bit more fluid also because we are doing replays. So there's not going to be as much downtime in between games. So hopefully that's okay with you guys. And yeah, it's going to be great. So one sec, guys. Just got to adjust one thing real quick. All right, there we go. Perfect. Yes. So if we take a look at the matches for today, the first match that we'll be going into is Amovebacker facing off against Zeblasky, Telexla and Soothsayer facing off against Flying Taco, ODM Anticity facing off against XMT Falcon, a bit of a clan war going on there. And then the last of the games today is going to be Imperator facing off, I believe he's ODM as well, facing off against Arkin the Black. So some very serious top-level competition. So pretty much every match today is going to be very, very intense. As far as the players, of course, you guys can see them. We got them nice and Skaven lettering here. Yeah, these players did qualify throughout the season, so essentially how it works, for anyone who's interested in playing in the ECL in the future, or just has questions about the format, is we have 8 qualifiers. So pretty much 8 to, depending on the schedule and whatnot, 8 to 12 weeks of competition. They're sometimes spread out a little bit, but usually 8 weeks. Each week we have a big qualifier that has anywhere from 40 to 60 people playing in them. And the winner of each of those qualifiers qualifies for the grand final. So the grand final, of course, is the winners of each of those qualifiers. And here they are. Here they are in all their glory. And they're going to be playing for a pretty decent prize pool. I believe we're going to probably be doing about $200 for first place. So it will be a winner take all. So it's going to be quite a bit of fun. Very scrappy stuff. And of course, having a prize pool does indeed encourage the players to fight even more fierce-like. So here's the bracket once again, guys. We're going to be pulling up the first game as people do arrive here. Pickled Buddha. Locked and loaded. Good luck. Have fun. And King Adjazal, thank you for the 2, man. The fully armed and operational new intro. It is. There's things about the old intro I like a little bit more, but there's things about this one I like because it has new footage from the trailers and things like that. So yeah, that's that. All right. So let's fire up the first game, guys. I'm going to be loading in here. Let me go ahead and pull it up here, find the replay, and make sure I don't show you guys any spoilers for the other games. So I've watched a couple of these, but honestly, I'm going to be watching a lot of these for the first time as well. All right. So the first series we are going to be doing is Amovebacker and his Dowie facing off against Zeblasky and the Dark Elves. So a matchup that, historically, it's kind of changed a little bit. The Dwarves have gotten some, additional characters in the roster and some buffs here and there. But it used to be a matchup that was very, very, in my opinion, Dark Elf favored. They had some great AP options. They had chariots, all sorts of scary stuff. But nowadays, I don't know, if you're playing like a true Dwarf specialist like Amovebacker, I feel like for the most part, it's going to be a relatively even matchup here. So we're just loading in right now. It is going to be on the Altdorf outskirts. Let's go ahead and pause the replay and switch over the view here. One moment, guys. Here we have it. And again, thank you guys so much for the very generous donations. Let's get the show on the road, guys, and have some fun. The bots will be here soon, I'm sure. We'll find out. So for the forces of the Dwarves, and it's actually nice I can pause this because it's a massive Vanguard deployment. So basically there's going to be a huge battle. Again, Amovebacker is playing the forces of the Dowie. And the Dark Elves are going to be led by Zeblasky, so certainly going to be quite a bit of fun. I think I might have the nameplates backwards. I'll have to double check over the course of the battle, but if I do, I'll change it on the next one. So for the Dwarves here, looks like it's going to be an entire Vanguard of the Miners with Blasting Charges, which actually can do huge damage against like Bleak Swords, Dread Spears, Sisters of Witch Elves, that kind of stuff. So he's got all those guys in the front line. In the secondary line, he does have Bugman's Rangers, Ulthar's Raiders, and layers of like Ranger units. Really, you're not seeing any Thunderers. Perhaps the meta has changed. You used to see a lot of gun units, simply because Dark Elves would go very heavy duty in the chariots. At the back here, Amovebacker does indeed have a Rune Lord, Dragonback Slayers, a couple Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, and here are his gunline units. Okay, so he does have some. I was going to say, if you don't bring any gunline pieces and they have a character like Malekith or like a Chariot, you're going to have a pretty bad time. So for the forces of the Druchi, who shall be led by Zeblasky, he's got Shades with great weapons. It looks like, yeah, great swords. Wow, you don't see those terribly often, but they certainly can't hurt Dwarves in melee combat. Another group of regular Shades. Front line is going to be Bleak Swords into the Sunset, 2 Candidate Assassins, and it looks like more Shades on the far side, and bolt throwers as well. So it really looks like, just based on, a cursory glance at his build, I really feel like he was looking to counter the box. And the Dwarves came in super aggressive, so we'll see if the bolt throwers can still get that value. I don't feel like they can in this case. So yeah, 2 Candidate Assassins, and for his Lord in the back here, we do have Malekith on foot. So Footakith, he's here. And let's get the show on the road, guys. Let's have some fun. Let's see if the Dwarves can defeat the Dark Elves, or if the foul Druchi shall advance on. So the Shades are going to be falling back. Obviously, the Minor Vanguard really probably caught him off guard here. You can see that the Bugman's Rangers and all these Ranger units are just peppering into the Shades. This is like pretty much a dream start for the Dwarves. Now, if there was a Chariot from the Dark Elves, for example, to kind of sweep through these units, come through the flanks, it would certainly be very punishing against the Miners. But in this case, Not too much, and it looks like this first group of Shades, the Greatsword unit, the really expensive one, I think these guys cost something like 1,100 gold. They're very pricey. Are going to get Blasting Charge. They're going to be taking a ton of Ranger Fire to the face. And Bugman's Rangers are no slouches. They certainly got some decent range and hit relatively hard. So the bolt throwers are in spray fire mode. It looks like now they're just shooting into the Slayers and some of these other high value units. But yeah, I really feel like the Dark Elves were not prepared for the Dwarven Bum Rush. And you can see here the Reaper bolt thrower crews are already having to run. So basically the fact that they're not shooting, he's losing so much gold. Like all these Shades are not combat effective. Now on the other side, it's a little bit better. Some of the miners with blasting charges are not getting their charges off. Looks like some of them are being broken by the Canaan Assassins and by Malekith. But for the most part, very, very good start for the Dawi, I would say. So the Dark Elf still falling back here. Shades are falling back. The Reaper bolt thrower is actually running itself. Look at this. The bolt thrower is being pushed away. That's pretty hilarious. It seems like it's being pushed pretty quick, though. What's its speed? 22. So yeah, it's still quite a bit faster or slower than the Dwarf Infantry here, but not by much, I suppose. So the Shades are shooting in now. Basically, what Zeblasky is trying to do is cover the retreat of these bolt throwers and allow them to get away. Maybe, honestly, sending in the Bleak Swords here wouldn't be a bad idea to try and, like, target these guys, but for the most part, it's pretty wild engagement. Now, here in the front line, the Dark Elves have pushed back the initial wave of miners, which is pretty much expected here. But nonetheless, they did some decent damage with their blasting charges in this engagement here. You can see that these Bleak Swords are a little bit beat up from the blasting charges, and now the Canaan Assassins are jumping into combat here. And they will be tough to kill, for sure. I mean, if they do get exposed in open field, and the Dwarven gun pieces are able to shoot them down, that can be quite nasty. Oh, but here comes a big Soul Stealer from Malekith. That's going to be a real juicy one if it hits all these guys. Hits the Rangers, Dwarf Warriors. It hits the Dwarf Warriors here, Rangers. Might be able to get these guys. No, probably not, actually. I think it has to be on the cast. But that's a pretty good one. Does some good damage, hits all those troops. Granted, the healing wasn't terribly pertinent there for Malekith because he was full health, but still not a terrible situation. Now, these Shades for the Dark Elves are still online. Balance of power is pretty darn even at this point, actually. I would say maybe slightly favored for the Dawi because, again, they push back the bolt throwers. The Shades have taken a lot of damage, and really the Dwarves have only lost a lot of value on minor units for the most part. Granted, he still has lost some of the Dwarf Warriors here, and the Dwarven gun line, man, just pounding into these Shades right here. And, of course, Shades are very squishy themselves. 30 armor. Melee defense isn't terrible at 32, but yeah, against any sort of focus fire from missiles or thunders or quarrelers, those guys are going to be taking some damage. So what Zeblasky does have going for him is his goon squad here. If Malekith and these two characters are able to take out this lone rune lord, he's running for the hills. He's like, oh, I'll get you later. This guy's just running, man. Look at him being hunted down by the assassins. And I think they have poison missiles as well, so if they're shooting him, which they are, you can see he's poisoned. He's down to 24 speed, so a little bit dangerous for this proud dwarf here. Is he going to be able to get away from the goon squad? And honestly, he doesn't really have to survive the whole game per se, but if you could just, like, distract these characters, in some ways, this is actually pretty good for the dwarves because this Rune Lord is just kiting these very valuable characters away from the main fight, while the rest of the Dwarven army really just overwhelms this Dark Elf force. You can see here the Shades are starting to get really beat up. The other Shades are just getting pounded by the Dwarven gunfire. The frontline fighting is going okay, I suppose, for the Dark Elves. They have a couple of Bleak Swords still fighting. But for the most part, Bleak Sword infantry will eventually be worn down. I mean, even the Bugman's Rangers might be able to beat them in combat, so certainly not the best situation for them. Looks like some blasting charges being thrown from the flank. Shades are all but forced back, and Zeblasky is doing the best he can, really just scrapping. But I think the Vanguard deployment was just so punishing for him. With the bolt throwers looking to crack a box. And in the past, I have seen Amovebacker play with a lot of, boxes. And that was his typical style for a long time. But I think the fact that he switched it up really caught his opponent off guard. And, a lot of people in tournaments obviously, run into each other quite often. So if you see someone, their playstyle, it's often a safe bet to try and counterpick that. Like for me, when I play Vampire Coast, I never do rushes. I'm always playing artillery build. So in the past couple tournaments I played in, people know this and they prepare for that. So anyway, Shades are coming in here. The Great Swords, of course, will not be bad in combat, but these Slayers will certainly tear them limb from limb. They still have 60 models, but the impact is going to hurt pretty bad here. So these Shades have 42 speed, Slayers have 40, but they do get a bit of an acceleration on the charge, but the Shades should be quicker, but something has to be sacrificed to the Dwarven gods here. And you can see the Dragonback Slayers are going to be jumping on over to the Reaper Bolt Thrower and should be able to just cut that thing to shreds. It is not going to be a good day for these lads here. So Reaper Bolt Thrower going down. The Dwarven guns are just shooting into the Shades once again. And you can see the Dark Elves. I can't believe the balance of power is still so even. It feels like it's such a dominant game for the Dwarves here. I mean, not super one-sided per se, but it's become that as the game's gone on. You can see there's a massive wall of Dwarven firepower. Granted, I think the balance of power is giving a lot of credence to these characters here. To Malekith and to the Canaan Assassins here. I mean, of course, they're very tough to kill. And there's nothing in this Dwarf army as far as like combat prowess that's super strong. So, I mean, maybe Zeblasky could still get back. It's hard to say. The Shades, of course, will be shooting in, but the Thunders are shielded. Bugman's Rangers are shielded, and they heal themselves. These are units that aren't like super cost-effective to try and shoot down with Shades. I mean, yeah, it's still good. They have good AP, so at least they can punch through that 80 armor. But, oh, look, blasting charges coming in, maybe. Looks like there might be a couple left on these miners here. No, they're actually, looks like they're fresh out of those blasting charges. So the Shades are going to be jumping into combat now. It looks like they're running forward. Now they're pulling back. little bit of a crisis there, trying to decide what they want to do. And you can see here the Bugman's Rangers are going to be taking the initial brunt of this engagement here as the Khanate Assassin and Malekith do run in. And, you know, something else, I mean, if this Dwarven army does run out of ammunition somehow without killing these characters, and Malekith still has a Soul Stealer in his back pocket, you know what? There might be a chance for him here. Like if you could blob up, because there's really not a lot of punch in this army. I mean, if you look at the Dwarf army, the missiles are the punch. The Rune Lord, of course, isn't like a Grombrindle Brindle type character. He's not terribly, potent in combat, so who knows how that would go. Malekith's going to be jumping in. A nice Gaze of Malice right here. And, yeah, he should be able to karate chop some of these guys. Foot Malekith, Footakith, he does not have a ton of AP himself, so he's not going to be like a world beater as it pertains to cutting through armor, but it's not terrible. I mean, his combat stats are pretty good, 65, 55. It's pretty cool to actually see him on foot as well, trying to minimize the amount of large targets that the Dwarven cannons and Thunders have to shoot at. And also on foot, Malekith does have a silver shield, so it could be a bit of a precarious situation to try and take him out. So the Khanate Assassin running over here, chasing down the Dwarven guns. I should be able to potentially chase those guys off. It seems like the Khanate Assassins still have a ton of ammo as well, which means they could do some kiting, they could do all kinds of nasty stuff as this game does progress. And are the Dark Elves kind of working their way back into this game a little bit? Maybe so. Now on the far side here, what do the Dwarves have left? They have a bunch of kind of scrappy infantry units that are chasing off the remnants of the Dark Elf units, which means there's only going to be characters left. The Dwarven gun pieces are shooting in. Marked by Althar coming down as well, which is going to lower his missile parry as well as his missile resist. So Malekith going to be taking some damage, and these gun units honestly have a ton of ammo left, and this is the right play. Just kite with the Rangers, shoot with the Thunders, and prosper from there. Looks like he's moving up Eltar's Raiders, maybe thinking about getting them in combat here, but Malekith, I think this is totally the right play. Just wear him down with your Thunders. And the other group of Thunders, unfortunately, is a little bit beat up, but so are the Khanate Assassins. And of course, the Khanate Assassins don't have any way of healing. One sec, guys. Just going to make sure there's no issues with the stream here. Okay, we're good. I was like so paranoid that there was a screen blocker. I was like, oh, there's got to be something. I can't have a smooth start to a stream. It's just not possible. But alas, it doesn't seem like there's any drama. So guys, you can see on the far side, Malekith is chasing down the Proud Dwarves, and he is going to be using a Soul Stealer here. So he is kind of blowing the load right now. Balance of power is Dowie favored at this point. You can see the balance is reflecting that as the Dwarven gun units start to saturate in and really do a ton of damage to these characters. But the Soul Stealer does pull it back towards middle. Of course, healing up Malekith, and honestly, Zeblasky still has a decent chance here. These Khanate Assassins are methodically picking off these units, finishing off the gun units, which of course are the biggest threats to Malekith. And if we look around, I guess there's still a ton of Dwarven infantry though, and even Dwarf Warriors are really tough to break. They're going to take a long time to deal with. And Malekith is taking a lot of crossfire here. And also something else to note is that the Althar's Raiders are not bad in melee combat. 29, 27, 30 with really good AP values. So if they have to cut through Malekith's very thick midnight armor, they'll certainly be up to the task. I mean, it'll take a while, but they can. So the Khanate Assassins over here, continuing to work down the Bugman's Rangers. But Bugman's Rangers, like I said, aren't slouches in combat. They have pretty good combat stats. 38 melee defense to boot. And it looks like they have put some decent damage here, actually, on the Khanate Assassin, who's now running, interestingly enough. And some of these dwarf units are going to come back. You can see the direction they're routing. They'll probably be able to rally, although the Khanate Assassin is really kind of escorting those guys. Malekith here is going to be going after the gun units, which is definitely the smartest choice. Those guys really have the best capabilities of dealing a ton of damage to Malekith. And yeah, he's got 52 leadership, 24. Malekith kind of, back and forth wavering here, but I think this is the right choice by Amove, sending in the Althar's Raiders into melee combat now, so at least you can start to grind down Malekith. We've seen 2 Soul Stealers, I think, over the course of this game. Maybe 3. I don't know about the Winds of Magic situation, but for the most part, I think that there might be another one. It's hard to say. It depends on how much longer this goes. It's already been a 9-minute game. Oh, this is good. So he has the Dragonback Slayers here, and the Dragonback Slayers, of course, do slow. They have the power of the Dragonback, so for anyone who's new to the game and hasn't seen this, it's a really cool ability. It slows things down, makes them weak to fire. Very, very neat stuff. So when they get Malekith, he's going to be slowed. He'll probably be dragged down. And I don't see Malekith being able to beat down all these Raiders, plus also beat down the Dwarf Warriors here. And now what's really good for the Dwarves is that the missile pieces are getting separation from Malekith, which means if he eventually does get out of this blob here, if he does survive it, what does that spell? Oh, Power of Darkness being used on himself? No, Marked by Althar. I was like, oh man, that's a bold strategy, Cotton. But the Marked by Althar once again going off, which does lower his armor. So it's even helpful in terms of the melee battles. And nice play here by Amove. Man, really good awareness. He pulls back the Althar's Raiders to avoid the Soul Stealer on them. That was very clutch. Nonetheless, Malekith is healing, but as soon as he finishes off these Slayers, or tries to run from them, there's going to be a firing line waiting for him. So just the crossfire, brutal stuff. Malekith getting pounded by the Dwarven guns, and I don't know if he's going to be able to get away from this. This is going to be a lot of firepower right in his face here. They're a little bit obstructed, I think, by some of the fellow Slayers for a moment. They should be shooting unless they have the wrong attack order on something else. Nope, there they go. Right into the face of Malekith. Zeblasky, ever the scrapper here, trying to juke back and forth, and the balance is still pretty even, believe it or not. Thunders are going to be pulling back once again, just kiting Malekith, although honestly just engaging in combat and waiting for the Raiders might be the better play. Yeah, he's kiting towards the Dwarf Warriors. Now, as far as the other battles go, the Canid Assassin is still alive, and the other one, man, this is a really close game. I mean, ammo is running a little bit sparse for the Dwarves, and if he can deal with the Thunders, that's really the biggest threat to his army. Those guys being able to pound down Malekith is really, really unfortunate for them. Bugman's Rangers and Quarrelers are going after the Canid Assassins here, and Malekith is basically just chasing down these Dwarven gun units, trying his hardest here to get in combat, carrying the sword over his shoulder, very, very fancy stuff, doing a little bit of a boast into the face of the Dawi here. But these dwarves are, they're relentless. They're pumping those dwarven legs and certainly doing some Dawi kiting. Who would have thought we'd seen it? Malekith with a 36 speed can't seem to catch them, which is pretty hilarious. Now on the far side, Canid Assassin is kind of walking back and forth, looking for an opportunity. He still has pretty good ammo, so of course he's doing a little bit of kiting here and picking off single dwarves where he can, but that's not going to do it. These Bugman's Rangers honestly will win in combat. The Canid Assassin will not be able to deal with that many angry dwarves that have 38 melee defense and also heal themselves by drinking beer. So we look around, one Canid Assassin has emerged from the shadows, revealing himself to the dwarves. Malekith now stuck in combat here with Dwarf Warriors, and they have good AP value. He's not the best melee attack, but Malekith is so damn low, and we've seen 3 Soul Stealers this game. So every axe that can land in his face here is going to be pretty strong. Dwarven guns turn around and shoot. He's able to get separation once again. Malekith is just getting peppered. Really good juking and control here by Zeblasky. He's really scrapping this game out, trying to get back. But I think the Dwarves are probably going to pull this one out. I just don't think Malekith has the steam, and I also think the Canid Assassins, though they're kiting and doing a pretty good job in the process, like they're eventually going to get caught by these Bugman's Rangers. Who are only very tired. As a matter of fact, I think they have a vigor buff or something from their beer. Let's go and double check here. No, it's just leadership. Yeah, so I guess they're just sturdy dwarves. Malekith is finally broken. The Witch King taking a blast right to the face here from the Thunders. And at this point, the bounce of power is almost a point of no return. The dwarves certainly looking to be in a very powerful position. Malekith is going to be chased off, marked by Ulthar being pops on him to make these Bugman Rangers. Wouldn't it be cool if they pulled out like their beer steins and started beating him over the head with it? Oh man, that'd be great. But Malekith is getting chased off, probably is honestly going to go down. And that is going to be a victory in game 1 in this best of 3 between Amovebacker and Zeblasky. Well played to those two fine players. The Dwarven Vanguard really caught Zeblasky's build off box. Zeblasky's build was so designed to defeat a Dwarven box, like, a cannon box with a couple missile units and then maybe like Felix and Gotrek in there, that, the rush really caught him off guard. And honestly, Zeblasky's build was really good at killing boxes. But unfortunately, against a Dwarven rush, it was a really uphill battle. And despite that, he put up a great fight, but Amovebacker was on point for sure. His build was great. The pressure was really good. But again, that's just game 1 of this best of 3, guys. So now we're going to be jumping on over to the next game here in the series. Let me take a look at oh, wow. Okay. I got some donations coming in. So Anthony Damiani, thank you for the $5. Enjoyed a number of your casts this week. Thanks. You're welcome. Joe Leonard, thank you again for the 20, brother. Happy Friday, all. Happy Friday, my friends, and welcome to the stream. And Joe, thank you so much, man. Dave Fayram, thank you for the 50. Here we go. Warhammer Fantasy. WFers here. Let's show our appreciation. Warhammer, like fantasy something. I'm trying to think what that would stand for. Again, I just woke up recently, so I'm not super sharp yet. Dave Fayram, thank you so much for the 50, man. It means a lot. And then we got Horse Armor for the 420. Turin, I'm painting metal Blood Knights, and you're streaming. Very cool, man. Blood Knights are such a cool looking unit. And Pickled Buddha, thank you for the tenor. Locked and loaded. Good luck. Have fun. Yes, we are. And of course, King, thank you for your donation. So that is game 1. That is game 1. The Dawi had too many cab units. Yes, they did. They did indeed. So that was a great game. Another grudge satisfied indeed. And now we're going to be moving on over to game 2, guys. So I'm just going to put up a quick blocker here as I switch to make sure you guys don't see all the replay files. So ECL Season 4 bracket. So of course, for anyone joining, we are in the first game between Amovebacker and Zeblasky. And now we're going to be jumping on over to game 2. So game 2 is going to be a showdown between Zeblasky's Wood Elves and Amovebacker on the Lizardmen. So here we go. Bright and early, guys. We're getting it going. ECL round of 8. Grand Finals. Of course, the winner of today's streams, the winners, will be in the Grand Finals next weekend, which is going to be a live event. This one, of course, is not live. We're just casting the replays because scheduling is very tricky with all these time zones and work schedules and whatnot. Oh, man. You guys are going to like this build. You guys are going to like this build. All right, so we're loading in here. Let's get it going. Well, boom. Perfect. So now, guys, in the second match, it is going to be Amovebacker on the Lizardmen facing off against the elves, the treacherous elves. Once again, of course, Zeblasky, a very top-tier elf player. But it is going to be a bit of a kite build from the Lizard. So Amove really changing up his playstyle here. You can see he has a bunch of chameleon skinks. In total, I think he has 5 or 6. Let's go and double check here. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be 5 of these bad boys. And some of them are skink skirmishers, actually. Okay, so he doesn't have all chameleons. It looks like 4 chameleons with 1 skirmisher. And chameleons are pretty good at kiting. Like, if Wood Elves come in with a rush with Dryads and War Dancers, you're going to be able to very efficiently kite them. They're pretty quick themselves, 48 speed, which is faster than the 46 of War Dancers. And also on top of that, you are applying poison, which is very, very powerful and very pertinent. On top of that, we have a massive Cav core. We have a Cold One Spear Riders into the Sunset in the back. Skink cohorts on the flanks, it looks like. But yeah, mainly just like Cold One Riders and Cold One Spear Riders. A very heavy kite build, which is crazy. He does also have a Red-Crested Skink Chief. So the Lizards shall be kiting the Wood Elves for once. And he does have the Red-Crested Skink Chief, like I said, a very cheap anti-large lord. He does have a nice little opal amulet to give him some ward save. And guys, we're going to see a wild Croak. Oh my goodness. Look at this. The Croak man is here. In this matchup, man, he must have been really expecting an infantry build. Yeah, so anyways, here, you can see Lord Croak has his nukes here, the Deliverance of Pizza, which he's going to be delivering some pizza to these Wood Elves, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how he plays out in this build. It just seems like such an unorthodox pick against Wood Elves, who aren't really known for like infantry blobs and things like that. Anyways, as far as the Wood Elves go, Zeblasky in the front line, he's got War Dancers and Dryads, so a very aggressive build, which, against like a Saurus front line or a Skink cohort front line could probably really catch your opponent off guard. But in this case, it seems like Amove is really counterpicked pretty well. Maybe he's done a little bit of a research on his opponent here. He's got Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts in the back to deal with big dinos, and he does indeed also have a Spellsinger up in the sky, a Glady with Pravenoth Rema, and some Eternal Guard in the back as well. And it looks like a kind of a hidden unit back here. He's hiding Wild Riders, and the Wild Riders are Wild Hunters of Kurnus. So we'll see if the Wood Elves can catch the kite again. If Amove Hacker does win this game, it'll be going to the next match. He'll, of course, advance. But if Zeblasky is able to pull it back, and he might be able to, I mean, maybe just through volume of fire here, these Glade Guard with the Starfire Shafts might be able to wear down these Skinks. And honestly, that's a pretty good start. Yeah, they do have 40% missile resist, but if Zeblasky can focus them down and kind of get them off the War Dancers, that's going to be really, really good. So here we have some Cold One Riders charging in as well. Very nice catch there by Zeblasky, able to pound a ton of HP. So honestly, the initial engagement going pretty darn well for the Wood Elves, considering the circumstances here. So the Shadow's Coil is activated, giving them extra melee defense, as some of the Lizard Cav decide to charge in. Brutal start so far. Honestly, Lizards are taking a lot of damage from these Glade Guard here, and it looks like he is going to be charging in with Cold One Riders, so they're not the Spear Riders, they're actually the melee variant, and a really good Pravenoth Rema here by Zeblasky. He's able to lock those guys down, and the Wild Riders are going to be following up for a counter charge. So honestly, really good engagement so far here from the Wood Elves. The Lizards taking a lot of damage, but also giving it back. Here comes another charge. Dryads on the flank getting hammered a bit. Shield of the Old Ones going down. Oh, and the Deliverance of Pizza. This was the plan all along. Is it going to be able to get the War Dancers? It's a very slow cast. And the War Dancers, are they hit? It looks like they do take a pretty big explosion, but he was able to dodge that for the most part. Oh, and it looks like another Deliverance coming here. The pizza is being delivered. Oh, this could be so brutal. They're so bunched up. Oh no, the Lizards. This could be a disaster. Brutal shot right there. Hitting the Wild Riders, hitting the Glade Guards. That was really punishing. Like really punishing. That destroyed or at least nullified two really powerful units. The pizza is being delivered. Here comes another one, and I think that the reason why Amove pushed in so aggressively was just to be able to spam the spell. Like, he knew his opponent would counter push him. Oh man, the Lizards just nuking the Wood Elves into the Shadow Realm here. The War Dancers, the Wild Riders, like all these guys are being pushed back so hard. The Croak Man in the back as far as kills up to 73, which is pretty damn good. The Skinks, of course, providing some decent Overwatch fire, and it seems like the Wood Elves are being pushed back very, very heavily, and I don't know if they're going to be able to stabilize from this. I feel like the Croak Man just croaks all over them. Granted, balance of power is pretty even, and if you look, don't want to get too excited for those Croak Bombs, but the Cold One Spear Riders are also very beat up as well. Pretty much all the Lizard melee forces are in really bad shape. It's mainly just the Skinks that are untouched for the most part. Some of the Skinks have piled into combat, it looks like, but for the most part, they're all in decent shape. So balance of power is still pretty even here. Wood Elves are falling back, so the Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts are able to get back. Some of the missile units for the Wood Elves are finally stabilizing, and some War Dancers have gotten back in. Eternal Guard have gotten back in as well, but the problem is, if the Wood Elf melee core starts to buckle, the entire back line is basically just Glade Guard, which aren't great at kiting, and they could just be chased down by any number of Cav units or Heroic units. That's really the big issue here for the forces of the Wood Elves. Like, even though the balance is even, it's still a scary situation. So here comes another Deliverance of Pizza. It's going to be hitting these Wild Riders perhaps. Here it goes, and it hits. Does it hit? Yeah, it does about 200 damage. Nothing to write home about, really. But what's really cool about Lord Croak's nuke abilities is they don't hurt your friendly units. So you can like get in a blob fight, pop it, not really care about your own units, and you're going to be in good shape. So the Wood Elves are able to stabilize here a little bit. They actually get some of the Dryads and Eternal Guard able to hold back the advance here of these Cold One Riders and actually rampage them. Zeblasky with some good control is able to get the Glade Guard away finally, but it looks like there's an angry Skink coming for them. It is going to be the Red-Crested Skink Chief with the Opal Amulet and Foe Seeker. So most of the missile units are pinned down. There's one Glade Guard with the Starfire Shaft right here. Oh man, some Dryads are really overchased. That's pretty unfortunate. So Zeblasky has some Dryads chasing down some Skinks over there, which is, he would really need these guys here right now. That'd be very helpful. Nonetheless, so a pretty risky engagement. Here comes the Eagle, the Glade Lord charging in, but taking a massive beating here from the Red Crested Skink Chief. This guy, of course, has anti-large, a much better duelist. Ravenauth Raymond going down to try and allow the Glade Lord to escape, but is it going to get away? Cav coming in, the Lancing charge here. It looks like the bird is going to get cooked. Let's find out. 3 HP on that Glade Lord. It's probably going to be going down, and I think with that, it's going to be really tough for the Wood Elves to come back. So we have Starfire Shafts here, which are tied in combat. They're not going to get away from the Croakman, probably. We have some free ones right here. So these Glade Guard with the Starfire Shafts are in decent shape. And what else do the Wood Elves really have? It looks like most of their stuff is running for the hills. The Dinos don't have like too many powerful units left, but the Skinks have a ton of ammo, and there's so much light armor. I mean, the Skinks are really good against pretty much that's left here. And you can see now, for the first time, the bounce power is actually truly in the favor of the Lizards here in this matchup. And the Croakman is, he's waddling. He's doing it. He's doing some toad magic, some Hypno Toad action here on the Glade Guard. They're going to get chased off by the Skinks. We do have some Cav coming in, the Wild Hunters of Kurnus, but again, they're going to take a ton of dart fire here from the Skink Skirmishers and the cohorts, as well as the Chameleons here. And also the Red Crested Skink Chief is pretty good against these units. He will easily be able to defeat that Spellsinger and also the Wild Hunters. Although the balance, I'm surprised it's like so even. I guess some of the Wood Elf units are coming back in the distance. We have some War Dancers, we have some Eternal Guard. We do have some missile units over there, and I mean, there's not too much left for the Dinos. Mainly just the Skinks, but again, they have that good missile resist. They seem to have pretty good ammo on a lot of them. This one unit of Chameleons is out of ammo, but Croak's still here as well. Croak, as far as a combatant goes, he's pretty weak, I suppose. 26-12, but he still has 450 weapon strength, which means he could drop the base for sure, but he just is squishy, but again, kind of makes up for it with a massive HP pool. So here, Chameleons are caught some of the Dryads. Dryads trying to catch these guys. Rocks are falling on their head, and those guys are going to shatter. The Poison Darts of the Chameleons doing really good work. And from here, honestly, this one group of Chameleons could probably clean up this entire force here of the Wood Elf return from the War Dancers, from the Glade Guard, from all these different troops. And it's looking pretty grim bones. The Croak, really, like, the big deciding factor in this game was I actually hadn't watched this game before. I've only looked at a couple of them because I want to watch them for the first time with you guys. The Croak Bomb was insanely powerful. Like, that nuked, like, a Dryad, a War Dancer. It took out like Wild Riders. Like, it did so much damage. Those Croak was dropping the base, to say the least. So here you can see the Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts are being pushed back. Pretty much the last bastion of hope here are those. It's really unfortunate. Those Dryads are really healthy, and look how beat up like all the Lizard stuff is here. Like, had they been in the battle, honestly, it could have gone a little bit differently. So here comes the Dryads getting kited and charged by the remnants of the Cav. Should get broken off here. We'll do a little bit of fast forwarding as there is some Benny Hill action and players are just getting their forces together. In the meantime, Amovebacker using Lord Croak to push off the Eternal Guard. Pretty much all the Wood Elf forces on that side of the battlefield are being pushed off, and it's going to take some time, of course. These Dryads are going to get kited a little bit. Some of the Skinks are pulling back and shooting. Obviously, I don't know. Sending in the Spellsinger might not be a bad idea now that they're out of ammo. Some Dryads collapsing from this angle as well. But ammo is a little bit sparse here. So basically, Amove's going to have to pull back Lord Croak. And I don't know, Lord Croak might be able to beat all these guys. Hard to say. Maybe not. Maybe not the Dryads and the Spellsinger, like, on his own. So some of these Dryads are breaking. -8 leadership. They are indeed broken and shattered. A lot of these units have broken multiple times. So yeah, Amove at this point basically just moving back his powerful character and is just going to be waiting. The Dryads are pretty strong, though. I mean, obviously a better combat unit than Skinks and these Skink Skirmishers and Chameleons and other units like that. But we'll see how it goes. Oh, but we forgot about this guy. Okay, the Red Crested Skink Chief was chasing someone off, and he just comes in and absolutely shreks that guy. Brutal stuff from the little Skink Man. And there you have it, my friends. Amovebacker is going to be advancing on to the Grand Finals on the 21st for the top 4. So well played to him. It was a great series. Great series indeed. Both games were very close, very long and drawn out, but the Lord Croak bombs were just so gross in a good way. So Season 4 bracket, let's go ahead and update this. Amovebacker will advance on here, guys. To face the winner of Talaxlan, Soothsayer, and Flying Taco, which is going to be our next game. Man, I'm hyped. It is time. It is time indeed. The trees need some water. They do. They do. So, Baron Gall, we're doing replays today because we have 8 players in very different time zones, and I was trying to schedule, but it was very tricky. A couple people were very busy. So basically, we play the round of 8 as replays, and then the next weekend will be live because it's easier to schedule with just 4 people. Those pizza bombs, though, guys, those pizza bombs were very nasty indeed. Yeah, friendly fire from the Skinks and the cold ones. Yeah, the Croak bombs, I think, just won it. So we have 3 best of 3s left. So plenty. There's plenty of action. Plenty of action indeed. All right. So let me go ahead and get the next match ready. It is going to be Talaxla Soothsayer facing off against Flying Taco. Certainly going to be a fierce battle. Both players have been performing very well in tournaments recently. So I'm quite eager to see this one. And then after that, we have Anticity versus Falcon and Imperator versus Arkin the Black to close out the stream. Oh, yeah. Considering the map, it should be Desert Pizza. Yeah, you only miss one series, and of course, you can always go back and watch it. You can always do it. Pizza first, now taco it is. Indeed. All right, I'm just making sure I'm not showing any spoilers. I'm not. All right, so very well played to those two players. Just going to clean the other replays out of the file here, just so I don't accidentally click them again. So next we have Taco versus Soothsayer. Oh man, this is going to be good. It's going to be good indeed. All right, perfect. Looks like the replays are all set. We're going to load it up. So the first one is going to be Warriors of Chaos against Empire. Now, Talaxla Soothsayer is an insanely good Empire player, as is Taco and Chaos. This is going to be really fun. I can't remember the last time I've seen Talaxla Soothsayer lose this matchup. And we are on the Altdorf outskirts, so Karl Franz is going to be here, fighting for his city against the forces of Kolek Sun Eater, the mountain god himself. Oh man, we're in for a treat. All right, guys, so bear with me for a second while I update the nameplates. We're going to be loading into the battle here. So let me go ahead and see the banner colors. I'm pretty sure Flying Taco is the player one here. So Flying Taco is going to be on Chaos. We'll just put Taco. The Taco, he cometh. And then we have Sooth. We'll put Sooth. Soothsayer for short. All right, we're here, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Let's go ahead and load in here and take a look. We also have another donation before we begin by John William. Thank you so much, John. He says the pizza delivery has me sufficiently hyped. Oh my God, the bots are here already? Man. Falcon will be playing. All right, guys. So here we go. We're jumping into the battle. Flying Taco and the Warriors of Chaos facing off against Talaxla Soothsayer on the Empire. So for the forces of Taco in the front line, it is going to be Chaos Marauders, Chaos Warriors with Great Opens mixed in, just in case there's a wild Greatsword pick, the Mirror Guard, and it looks like it's going to be the double Shaggoth Goon Squad. So you have Kolek, and we do also have another Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, which is very important against characters like Franz, Royal Altdorf Griffites. Sometimes you'll see a wild Steam Tank. You never know. It's a wild realm we live in here. So having these two guys is certainly very powerful. On top of that, the Flying Taco does have a Chaos Sorcerer of Death. He does have Spirit Leech, obviously to try and goon down casters. And if you're going for like double Shaggoth and all that single target DPS, having a Deathcaster I think is a really good choice. It's like guaranteed value. So he has the Deathcaster here. He does also have the Doom and Darkness. And in the Force, we have some Chaos Knights on that side. In the far Vanguard, we have Chaos Warhounds with Poison and two groups of Warhounds here, both of which do indeed have Poison. It's a pretty good army for sure. And now for Soothsayer, we have a pretty big army of Outriders. 3 of them, actually, and also some Pistoliers. Outriders are a very good choice in the Chaos matchup. They have great AP values, highly mobile. As long as you can protect them from Hounds, they can really pound down big targets, armored elite troops. I really like Outriders. I think they're a great unit. We have Karl Franz. We do also have a Jade Wizard. In the back, some unbreakable infantry in the form of Sigmar Sons, Tattersouls, it looks like, and some Spears. 2 Empire Knights. Of course, Sooth is the master of using Empire Knights. And yeah, I mean, they're a good armored body. They have 110 armor, and they can take a beating for sure, and really allow your Outriders and Karl Franz to win you the games. So let's get the show on the road, guys, and see how it goes. Is it going to be for the forces of the Dark Gods? Let us know in chat, guys. Who are you rooting for, the Dark Gods or, Sigmar? I'm sure most of you guys are Sigmarites, as the Empire is very popular indeed, and Chaos is a little bit of a, kind of a Walmart faction nowadays. Not that they're bad, but they're just, they don't have all the cool new toys that some of the other factions do have. So the forces of Chaos will be moving forward. Outriders doing a little bit of skirmishing, but Flying Taco does, of course, have his Chaos Warhounds with Poison. He can most certainly keep these guys, in check here. Make sure they don't cause too many problems, but we'll certainly see how it goes. So the Warhounds pushing forward once again, taking some light pistolier fire, but so far so good, not too much damage. Sooth is going to be overloading this flank, and Soothsayer does also have a Warrior Priest with a couple buffs, and it looks like the Soulfire Bombardment, which is really good at clearing out Marauders. So yeah, Sooth is going for a flank overload. It looks like he's going to be pressuring here, and he's also pulling in the Empire Knights, and the reason he's doing this, guys, is because he wants to be able to shoot happily with Outriders without Hounds being a big issue. So if the Hounds charge in now, Sooth can countercharge with his Empire Knights and allow the Outriders to keep generating pretty good value. In the meantime, Taco is kind of moving away from the overload, which is good. He's just kind of screening with chaff for the most part, some of these Chaos Marauders, and he's pulling his big boys here, the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth as well as Kolek, onto this side to try and see if he can find more plentiful harvests on this side of the battlefield. So some of the Chaos Knights looking for an opportunity to charge in as well. They did lose one model here to the Outriders, and the Outriders are being pushed back. Basically what Taco needs to do is minimize his losses until he can reach the infantry line, like the Spearmen and the Flagellants, and just try and get in combat there and get those, better engagements. Granted, the Flagellants will put up a decent fight, but against like heavily armored infantry, they won't have a really, really great time. So some of the Hounds are circling around the back. We do, of course, have Chaos Warhounds and Warhounds with Poison, looking for some opportunities to nip at the heels of these Chaos characters, or excuse me, Empire characters. And, if the Poison Hounds can even nip at the heel of an Empire Knight, it pretty much dooms them, assuming there's no follow-up from Sooth, simply because the Shaggoths can catch up and, the Chaos Knights can probably countercharge them. But both players basically trading positions, which is pretty hilarious. And the Outriders are shooting quite happily, but really the Outriders have used quite a bit of ammo, and they're not getting too much massive value. I mean, yeah, I guess they've done some damage against Marauders and Chaos Warriors and things like that, but the important thing for Taco is that the Dragon Ogre Shaggoths are in really good shape. So Sooth, of course, a masterclass in mobility here and maneuvering, able to pretty much do a full 360 just to allow him to kite a little bit longer, which is pretty hilarious here. Empire Knights waiting in the wings. Taco is committing some of the Hounds here. It looks like he might be charging in here, but the Empire Knights will, of course, screen those guys out, and Taco knows this, and he's going to pull back. So it looks like there's a Spirit Leech going down in the Empire Knights, so opting not to try and goon out Karl Franz, probably knowing that Franz, of course, has plenty of healing. There's a Jade Wizard. He probably has full Winds of Magic right now. And I don't know if Chaos is really going to be able to catch this Empire army. I mean, if it commits to the infantry fight, pushes in on the Spearmen and the Sigmar Sons and the Tattersouls, he certainly will be able to get in combat, but if he's trying to chase some mobile units, it's certainly going to favor the Empire. So Pistoliers move again, shooting at some of the Marauders. Mirror Guard are advancing as well. And now it looks like Chaos is going to be committing to the fight, going in, trying to get on the Tattersouls and the Flagellants. And they're going to run, but I think Mirror Guard are faster. 38 speed against 36. So if Taco really wants to press it, he can, but he has to be careful not to overextend and also make sure that Kolek and the other guys are close enough to the front line that if Sooth decides to charge in and try and get like a freebie here, for example, with his Empire Knights and some of the Warrior Priest action, that a follow-up charge can then be done by the Warriors of Chaos. So Hounds pushing forward. Both players basically just traded deployment zones, which I've seen that happen in 40k a couple times. Some of the Marauders are pushing in. It looks like the Empire Cav are going to be doing a hammering charge into these Marauders. So the first blood shall be drawn in melee combat. Spirit Leech going down, and the Empire Knights do get a nice little charge. Doing some decent work here against the forces of Chaos as those Marauders do get buckled down. But now comes the punishment. The Chaos Knights get a great countercharge. Sooth wasn't able to pull back quick enough, and those Chaos Knights are going to wreck these Empire Knights in combat. Plus, there's also Dragon Ogre Shaggoths. Here, the Empire Knights pretty much do the same thing, charging into that middle engagement against the Mirror Guard, but they're very durable, and honestly, those Empire Knights took a huge beating, and now these Flagellants are more or less stuck in combat. It looks like a Doom and Darkness going down, trying to break those guys. Interesting choice there. Maybe it was a bit of a misclick, and he was looking to do like a Spirit Leech or something, but Chaos has engaged in the front line. Sooth has established a pretty happy gun line, though. The Outriders are pretty much shooting unimpeded. There's no Hounds. There's nothing pressuring them at the moment. And they're just shooting in, going after Kolek, but Kolek knows this, falls back. Man, Taco with some really good reactions for sure. I mean, both players just insanely good micro, really good control, in an absolute scrappy game. So Chaos Warriors have engaged in the front line, should be able to defeat the Tattersouls after some time. Kolek falling back, maybe keeping an eye on these Empire Knights back here, and it looks like some Poison Hounds have come back. That probably took a little bit of skirmishing damage from the Pistolers. Oh no! Maybe a rare misplay here by Soothsayer, maybe pushing in Karl Franz. Is Kolek going to be able to spank him? A little bit of spanking going on there, and Franz is forced back. Oh no! If Franz gets caught here by these Chaos Warhounds with poison, that is going to be really, really bad. And Sooth knows this. He's charging in with the Empire Knights. He's trying to peel to the best of his abilities here. But the Hounds, they are fended off, so really good control. A little bit of a mistake there, but he was able to follow up and send in the Empire Knights to kind of free up that situation. That could have been disastrous. Had Franz been stuck in combat with Kolek and a Shaggoth, he charges it again! That is so ballsy! Especially with Kolek and the Shaggoth here, and Poison Hounds nearby as well. I mean, if Franz screws up like once, he's going to take a ton of damage. Look at that, Franz just gets hammered by Kolek because Star Crusher was active, which gave Kolek 743 weapon damage for that last attack. Franz is forced back, Spirit Leech going down as well, Regrowth being popped as well. Just so many things trying to keep Franz in the battle, and now Franz is going in again! What a madman! Going after Kolek, and it looks like the Soulfire Bombardment there is going to be doing some good damage to the Hounds and Chaos Knights, but man, Franz is a madman this game. Sooth with some really aggressive Franz play. But Franz, of course, is doing huge damage to Kolek back, and also there's a ton of Outriders shooting in. The Outriders getting really heavy damage here into the Sun Eater, and Kolek is now wavering, actually. 31 leadership, certainly not happy about being shot by the Outriders and charged by Franz. And look at this, guys. Sooth has kind of changed the dynamic. Franz is healed up, and he's actually healthier than Kolek. And he's mobile, and he's a free bird. However, the Warrior Priest here is getting hammered down pretty hard by the Star Crusher. Being pushed back, and the Empire Knights are all but running. And of course, Chaos will win the infantry fights. Tattersouls will be pushed back here. Sigmar Sons will be pushed back. Spirit Leech going down on some of these Empire Knights. It seems like Taco really making a big effort to take out these Empire Knights. So Empire Knights are being pushed back. Bounce Fire is pretty much dead even. Something that's a little bit scary for Sooth is the fact that, all his Outriders, not all of them, but they're running a little bit low on ammo. One of them is fully out. The other two have okay ammo, so enough to probably kill Kolek if they can get those good shots. And the Pistoliers are a little bit low as well. As far as ground forces for the Empire goes, pretty much non-existent at this point. I mean, Tattersouls will lose there, Spears will lose here, and pretty much, all the ground troops for the Empire over here are being overwhelmed. And Kolek's still going strong. I mean, he's still got, how much HP? 1.8, Franz has 2.3, so Franz is a little bit healthier for sure. And it looks like the Pistoliers are going to be sending Outriders into combat, just trying to keep the Shaggoth Goon Squad from getting on Karl. And it looks like they succeeded. Chaos Knights still charging in. Poison Hounds are here as well, but it looks like some of the Poison Hounds did get broken on the charge. And Sooth is able to get some really good shots right here with the Outriders and the Pistoliers. And man, this is such a tight game. This is just so back and forth. Chaos Knights getting another apocalyptic charge right here on these Empire Knights, which will probably break them. Maybe 13 leadership. And if Kolek gets in there, they're probably going to tear out. And here they come. A couple of those Knights getting clubbed off their horses, being taken to the club 50 cent style. So there they go. Not broken though, really surprised about that. Man, the Sons of Sigmar holding firm. And this was a really masterful maneuver here as well. I mean, knowing that Chaos is committing very hard over here, Sooth basically just abandoned that fight and just came over here to try and salvage his infantry fight and maybe get some free picks and terror routes on the Chaos Warriors and other infantry units, which is very important. Very, very scrappy play indeed. So, even battle. One Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is very, very healthy. Kolek is, he's not on death's bed, but he's certainly not healthy either. And Karl Franz is basically just going in deep right now, getting terror routes and causing a lot of problems. Granted, the Mirror Guard are immune to psychology, so those guys will have to be broken the good old-fashioned way. So here comes the Shaggoth. Shaggoth Goon Squad is going to be going after these Empire Knights. Both units of Empire Knights pretty healthy here. And it looks like a Soulfire Bombardment and Shield of Faith will be getting dropped in a moment, perhaps. Some sort of buff, and Franz is coming in as well. And honestly, is this where Sooth turns the game around? Franz charges in, going after the Sun Eater, and Kolek takes a massive blow to the face. 748 right here, so much damage. And the Bounce of Power is looking to be a little bit Empire favored, as Kolek, the Star Crusher, is taken out by Karl Franz, fully juiced to the gills with buffs. Shield of Faith, Grand Hammer of Sigmar, just all sorts of scary stuff, or just the Hammer of Sigmar. And the Golem Ra is being popped as well, and now this other Shaggoth is really just kind of getting beaten down. I don't know, guys. It's looking like the Sons of Sigmar, with just absolute cockfighting play, are able to pull this game back. And the Foul Forces of Chaos, who look to be in pretty good position, honestly, a couple times really taking apart Karl Franz in the beginning and the mid game, are going to get pushed back. And that's going to be game. Wow, what a scrappy game. And that's game one in this best of three, guys. Soothsayer is going to be pulling out the first victory. Very well played indeed. And sorry, guys, I forgot to update the nameplate I remembered in the first game. But man, that was such a good game. Just masterful play by both players. And now let's go ahead and update the scorecard here. So Sooth will go up 1-0 here in this best of three. Man. Yeah, F-Yak. I'm out of breath. That one was so intense. It was so intense. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was a really good game. 50 cent style. Yeah, you guys like that. Zyphos rooting for Soothsayer. I'm sure there's some Taco fans in chat as well. Man, that was scary. St. Augustine says, hey, Turin, if Fantasy Tabletop was still going, I would be playing Empire probably, or Dwarves. Empire Dwarves, yeah. Karl just went deep. Falcon rooting for the Taco. All right. Well, guys, now we're going to jump on over to game two. So let's go ahead and put the blocker up so you guys can see. This is the current bracket. Amovebacker has won his first game against Zeblasky. Now we have Soothsayer and Flying Taco in their best of three as we load into the second and potentially last replay, depending on how the game goes. Let's find out. So next one is going to be Flying Taco on the Tomb Kings facing off against the Warriors of Chaos. So Soothsayer coming in with the Heretics. All right. Oh man, these builds look fun too. Oh baby. Flying Taco coming in with the Arrow Titan. Yes. Yes. All right. Let's load it up. See how this goes. We're going to pause for a moment as we load into the game. And here we go. Everything looks good to me. Sooth is just the best player in the world. Nothing major, says Falcon. All right, guys. Here we are. Now for the Forces of Chaos, who shall be led by the current leader in this best of three. So excellent Soothsayer. Let's take a look. He's got Marauders in the front line, Mirror Guard as well. So obviously not opting to bring super elite infantry, but he does have a couple chosen with halberds. Very interesting choice. Oftentimes in this matchup, it just becomes a monster mash between like Shaggoths and things like that. But in this case, Sooth with a very I don't know if I would call it off meta, but interesting build. He's got a couple Chosen with halberds. Up in the sky, he does have a Chaos Sorcerer Fireball. Fireball, basically. So he's going to be spamming Fireball, trying to snipe the Tomb King's Lord. And on top of that, he does have Burning Head to clear through all the infantry. He also has an Exalted Hero with the Mark of Khorne, which is cool. You don't hear that terribly often, but Mark of Khorne does give him some pretty good stats. 15% weapon damage, 8 melee attack, and honestly, Exalted Heroes hit really damn hard. They have 500 plus weapon strength. That's like a legendary lore. On top of that, Sooth does have a couple Throwing Axes. Throwing Axes, of course, very, very good against large armor. Definitely gives him something, because as far as his army goes, like the halberds, yeah, can deal with constructs to an extent. But, you know, the Throwing Axes, I guess, and the Exalted Champion are going to be the real kind of counters there. And yeah, he does have 4 of those in total. So that's really going to be his anti-armor core. Now, for the Forces of Flying Taco, look at this build! Just wild. In the front, Skeleton Warrior. Secondary is going to be Spears. He does also have Tomb Guard with halberds himself. 2 Skeleton Spearmen, and it's very much like a casket box. So he's got a casket, he's got this Necrosphinx, he's got the Arrow Titan, Necrotect, Arkin the Black on foot, and is that a second Necrotect, or maybe it's just the same one? Yeah. So it's very much a box build, which, I don't know, might catch Sooth off guard. We'll see. I mean, the caskets hit really, really hard now. We'll see if it can actually hit these horsemen. So the caskets shoot again, picking off a couple horsemen, despite Soothsayer trying to juke that. It still took out 5 Marauder horsemen, and it looks like 1 here, so 6 in total. It's really not bad. I'm going to have some water real quick, guys. That last game just had me so hyped. You know, things are getting crazy. So Chaos is advancing here. Marauder Horseman moving up, but he does have to move up because eventually those caskets will start to target the Chosen. And when the Chosen start to get hammered, that's when the value really starts to get lost. And honestly, I mean, I think Taco has some really good answers as well. I think if he does have Fate Abuna, hopefully he does. Fate Abuna would be really, really good against the Chosen with halberds. Yeah, that's going to be nasty. So the casket shooting in once again, and despite the jukes of Sooth, it still gets another 3 models right there, so still getting pretty good value. So I think what he's probably going to do is get his Chaos Sorcerer Lord in position. There's no real, I mean, there are some air missiles here with the Sepulchral Stalkers, but he's going to be trying to do fireballs here, probably on Arkin the Black. And oh my god, you know it'd be really funny if Arkin actually hid behind the Titan. Oh, and that's what he's doing! So guys, Taco is grabbing his Lords and hiding them behind the Titan, which is hilarious. So now if the Fireball comes in, it'll definitely hit that Titan. Oh man, that is so funny. And it looks like a Spirit Leech coming in. So the Iroh Titan itself has 2 spells. It has Spirit Leech and it has Shem's Burning Gaze. So he was able to do both of those and actually do some really huge damage to that Chaos Sorcerer. That is such masterful play by the Taco. Hiding behind the Titan. That's some like big brain plays for sure. Now Sooth kind of has forgotten his Exalted Hero in the back. Maybe it's on purpose. I'm not sure. Trying to keep it out of range for Spirit Leeches and things like that. But I'm sure he'll be bringing it back in just a moment. So the Forces of Chaos are advancing. Casket still shooting in quite happily. It looks like it is going after the Mirror Guard now and some of these elite troops, but switching targets every volley. Oh, brutal damage right there. Flattening a line. Oh, and here comes the Fireball. Oh, man. And he wasn't hidden quite behind the Titan, so that one Necrotech does take a shot, but it's better than Arkin taking it. He definitely wants to keep Arkin alive. And yeah, it looks like Arkin's in pretty good shape. So let's keep an eye on that casket, see what it's targeting, guys. I think it's going after the Horsemen, but definitely is going to want to switch onto the Chosen soon. But yeah, still going after the Horsemen, realizing that, honestly, he can probably cycle charge the Chosen, but the Throwing Axes are the real existential threat to his army, because they pretty much can do consistent anti-large or anti-armor damage to his troops, not anti-large per se. So here comes the advance of Chaos. Mirror Guard will be charging in the front, but the Titan will certainly have something to say to them, certainly going to speak to their manager. And the casket raining in on the Chosen, taking out no models, but doing some really good HP damage nonetheless. So Chaos is moving in. Fate Abuna going down to the Mirror Guard instead of the Chosen. But, you know, both are good choices, to be honest. And the Mirror Guard are going to be taking massive damage, as I would imagine one of the constructs will then be charging in and just crumping these guys and doing some huge damage. So far, Tomb King seemed to be in a little bit better position. But again, Chaos is really only going to get its value once it gets into combat here. And it looks like another missile attack is going to be coming in here from the Titan. It's second Shem's Burning Gaze. And this Titan is doing really good work. I mean, he's done a lot of HP damage to that Manticore. Oh, nice Burning Head by Soothsayer. Able to roast pretty much 60% of the HP off those Tomb Guard with halberds. Might be able to go through and roast some of these spears as well. But the Mirror Guard are very beat up. Casket still shooting into the Chosen. Very, very scrappy fight by both players. So here some of the Marauders have engaged, and now the Sepulchral Stalkers are shooting in with their laser snake eyes and are doing some very good damage here against the Marauder Horsemen, who are being poked pretty damn hard in this situation. However, Chaos is now engaged in melee combat, and a lot of the Tomb King's infantry are starting to crumble down. And here comes the big pop Exalted Hero, but he does get hit by a Spirit Leech, but the Titan's here as well. And a Fireball coming in on Arkin the Black does kind of scathe his cape there, not doing too much damage. But the Titan seems to be winning this fight, and also we have the big old Titan coming in as well. Not the Titan, but the Necrosphinx. And it looks like the Exalted Hero is able to get back. Nice Tar Pit summon from Arkin the Black, able to lock down all these different troops right here, including the Chosen with halberds, which is basically the right play. You just want to distract those guys for as long as you can. The Mirror Guard are actually losing their fight because of the Fate of Buna and also the support of the Necrotect here. But here comes the Mark of Khorne, Exalted Hero going in, but no, he pulls back when he sees the Sepulchral Stalkers as well as the Necrosphinx kind of reacting to his play. This is a really good play by Taco here, pushing out these spears away. It pulls the Chosen away from the main fight, and on top of that, a lot of throwing axe ammunition is being wasted on these Skeleton Spearmen instead of on the big targets. Another Burning Head going in from Sooth. Oh, it doesn't make as much contact. It looks like it chips the edge of those Skeleton Spearmen. And here you can see the Chaos Sorcerer Lord is just really getting wrecked. I mean, every time the Stalkers are able to shoot him, they do, and Spirit Leeches are following up as well. So the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire is certainly having a lot of problems here in this engagement. Now, Chaos in the front line is doing pretty well. Chosen eventually will work their way through these guys. Granted, as long as they're being attacked by skeletons, the Constructs shouldn't take too much damage from them because they're not being isolated. And Arkin the Black's in good shape. The Titan's in good shape. In the back, the Casket is still actually going despite, all the pressure that's been put on here. However, Sooth might be able to get these Chosen in and maybe shut it down. This is actually good. Getting the Chosen into the Stalkers is going to be pretty cost effective. They should be able to chew down a couple Stalkers. There's also some Throwing Axe fire coming in the distance here. So this is a really one of the first really good engagements here for Chaos, as these Chosen with Halberds do force their way into the back line, therefore also shutting down the Casket. But guys, the Balance of Power is actually a little bit favored here for the forces of... the Tomb Kings. Yeah, you can see the Balance of Power is actually going in their favor here. Just wild times indeed. So the Chosen fighting, another Buna going down on these guys. So he did bring regular Chosen as well, but I don't know. I feel like the Throwing Axes, I guess they're still healthy. He's got 23 right here, 27 right here. Sooth, of course, is always capable of scrapping at a game. And he's not that far behind. But remember, guys, there's probably a new Shopty Summon. No, there it is. New Shopty Summon has been used over here to clean up some of the Chosen. Another Fireball coming downtown, I would imagine going after the Necrotech to try and shut down healing. Nice Fireball right there. It hits the Necrotech right in the face, and the Throwing Axes are now getting that really good fire, and honestly, this is, how Sooth potentially comes back in this game here, so you can see a lot of Throwing Axes going into these guys here. And if Soothsayer does win this, guys, the series is over. He'll be advancing on. He's getting a lot of firepower into the Necrotech. Chaos Infantry are doing well. The Mark of Khorne character is a little bit beat up, as is the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, but the Titan is still very healthy. That's 9,000 erect HP that you're going to have to work through. Man, oh man. Sepulchral Stalkers here starting to get worn down by the Chosen with Halberds. Throwing Axes getting good value, but they're almost out of ammo, and that's really concerning because when they run out of ammo, there's not going to be any real good answers, honestly, for dealing with these big monsters. Yeah, the Chosen with Halberds can do okay, but they're going to get cycle charged for sure by like the Necrosphinx over here. And there's still a Casket, still with firing capacity that could potentially wear them down. So here, of course, we have the Necrotech fighting tooth and nail in the pockets here. Throwing Axe ammunition, 2 volleys here, 1 volley here. These Throwing Axes basically just have 1 volley each. Oh, and the Skeleton summoned by Arkin is so clutch. Tar Pitting the Chosen, buying a lifeline here for this Necrotect. And you can see the Mirror Guard are critical binding as well. Not critical binding, but wavering and shaken. Of course, the Necrosphinx might be able to finish him off. But this is an opportunity here. If he gets this Mark of Khorne character plus the Marauder Horseman and is able to pick off the Sphinx here, he might be able to win the game just through a Halberd attrition. Hard to say. So a little bit of an overextend here, but the Chaos Sorcerer Lord is basically hiding out of range of Spirit Leeches. If you guys are wondering, that's why he's all the way over there. It's not a mistake. He's literally just trying to stay out of Spirit Leech range because Arkin the Black is probably banking Winds of Magic right now. But the Tomb Kings continue to hold. The Titan just clubbing these guys, doing so much damage, taking them to the candy shop. And you can see all the Chosen are running for the hills. Marauders are running. And now I think it's time for the final fight. Sooth has to make a play here. He has to do something. So here comes the Exalted Hero charging in, going into the Sphinx. And down goes the Sphinx. Sooth is able to take it out. Here comes the Titan as well. Oh, the Wrath of the Titan. The Jaeger. Coming to hunt them Kaijus. See the Exalted Hero pulling back here. And the Casket is still shooting, which is very problematic. The Casket being able to shoot here is going to be really punishing against his blobbed Chaos Infantry Corps. And I think a Fireball... Oh, a downtown Fireball Snipe from the Chaos Sorcerer. Going after the Necrotect. If it hits him, it'll probably finish him off. Here it comes. And swing and a hit. And that Necrotect, man, 189 just barely lives. I actually thought that would finish him. The Necrotect cackles and he lives, faces the onslaught of Chaos Infantry, and they might be able to finish him off. 102, negative 30. Yeah, the Necrotect will go down. Very good Fireball right there. So the bounce power kind of ebbing back a little bit, guys. And honestly, if Sooth is able to get his Manticore and, charge in and goon Arkin with really good cycle charging, maybe, guys. This is really close, despite the balance being a little bit favored for Tomb Kings. This is really close. And remember, if Sooth wins this, the series is over. He'll be going on to the Grand Finals, which is going to be getting played next weekend. So Sooth pulling back here. Exalted Hero back up in the sky, getting hit with a Spirit Leech. The Chosen are running for the hills. The Terror Routes are going to be quite strong here. Man, this Exalted Hero has to do so much. This is Sooth's chance here. If he gets all these characters charges in and then isolates with the Exalted Hero and picks off something of value, Arkin taking a lot of damage, guys, really getting beaten up by the Exalted Hero. But the Titan lumbers in, forcing back that character. Taco, really, really good reaction, able to get that very slow Titan there and force back the Exalted Hero. Both players just playing so well. You can see the big old Titan with its laser eyes. Terror routes will be an issue, but you know what'll also be a huge issue here for Sooth is the fact that Taco probably is going to have the staff coming up soon, or the Tomb Blade of Arkin, to get another Skeleton Summon, which will pretty much just own all these troops. Oh, and the Curse in the Skeleton Summon, the 1-2 punch! So that Curse is going to hit everything, just doing so much damage. And on top of that, the Skeleton Warriors are providing a much needed buffer for this Titan, allowing it to not be hit by the Halberds and those other troops. And they're pretty much all going down now. Chosen or Shaken, I mean, they're very low. 16 models here, mass Terror Route going down. Actually, natural breaks on some of them, so not Terror Routes across the board. And guys, I don't know if Sooth is going to be able to pull this one back at this point. The Exalted Hero and the Chaos Sorcerer are just so beat up. Here they come. Down it goes. The Exalted Hero karate chopping, trying his best, but even if they killed Arkin, I don't think these two characters could kill the Titan. The Arrow Titan coming in strong. Oh, here it comes. The Laser Eyes, the Cane. Oh, just stomping the yard on that Exalted Hero. The Exalted Hero probably broken. Shattered due to army losses. And guys, we have a series. Flying Taco wins the second game in this best of 3. Beautiful play by these players. And yeah, we're going to game 3. Man, that was a really, really scrappy game, as always. He had 2 units remaining. 2 units remaining. All right, so Taco's on the board. What is going to happen here in this game 3? Who knows? There was no way. That Titan was way too healthy. Way too healthy. Yeah. Aerocrastic, your namesake is playing. That was crazy. Hey, thank you guys for fending off the bots. The Taco Bowl was deep. Hailfire, that was a game. It was indeed. That was a really good scrap. All right, my friends. We're going in. Soothsayer's build is really cool too. Super unique. Like I would have never expected like an Exalted Hero and a Manticore. I would be expecting Shagus all day. Can you believe it? Do you believe in miracles? All right, guys, back to the bracket for a moment. Again, we're in our second match. Soothsayer and Taco 1-1 in their series. We're going to be jumping on over to the next replay here. Let's find it. Game 3 is going to be Flying Taco on Vampire Coast and Soothsayer on Wood Elves. Now, I'm curious to see Taco's build because I've always struggled with this matchup with the Vampire Coast. We'll see what he brings. Yo-ho, the blood runs cold. And if you guys haven't seen it, Lady Turin created an awesome Vampire Coast custom box. Darlin, if you're watching, please drop a link to the page so people can see it. It's in the community section as well. It's so cool. And it even has a lizard trinket on the inside. Come on, can't beat that. All right, guys, jumping into the next game. Let me get some water real quick. Aerocrastic says, if Sooth took Sigvald or Arkin on foot, like we originally agreed on, it would have actually been really hard to deal with. Yeah, with that build, yeah. Absolutely. A footy on. Foot Arkin. All right, guys, jumping back in our second best of 3. Let us do battle. Flying Taco, Soothsayer, 1-1 here in this series. For the forces of the Vampire Coast, they shall be led by the Flying Taco. Talaxan Soothsayer, multi-time ever-chosen champion, coming in with the Wood Elves. Let's take a look at these builds. So for the Wood Elves, Dryads in the front line, Dryads are a very good choice. Dryads basically can crump most of the Vampire Coast infantry very efficiently, and they're pretty tough to deal with. On top of that, Glade Guard. So just going for standard Glade Guard, a couple Hagbane tips as well. So just kind of volume of fire build. He does also have a couple Eternal Guard on the flanks to protect against doggo pressure and doggo play. And in the back, Sooth does have Wild Riders, a Glady, or a Spellsinger with the Lore of Life, not a Glady. Glade Riders, a little bit of missile play there. And where is his Lord? It looks like it is going to be a Pravenoth Rayma Lord with some more Wild Riders. So you can see basically how Sooth deployed. He was expecting some like shenanigans in the back, like Scurvy Dogs and things like that. So he very much screened out. It's funny watching Sooth play this. It's like watching someone like deploying 40k, like covering the deep strikes on the corners and things like that. Very, very good stuff. But basically the build is Dryads, Glade Guards, and a bunch of Wild Riders. That's really it. So for the forces of the Tomb Kings here, not Tomb Kings. We just saw Tomb Kings. For the Vampire Coast, yo-ho, the blood runs cold. He's got gunnery mobs, so a ton of gunnery mobs, actually. In total, he does have 3 of those. He's got a Rotting Leviathan, because we actually saw this in the faction war recently. We saw the double Rotting Leviathan actually out-sustain missile builds, which is pretty hilarious. So he does have a Leviathan, Noctiluss on foot. Over here, more gunnery mobs, scurvy dogs everywhere, Morngul's everywhere as well. And here, a little bit of a vanguard pressure angle with some scurvy dogs and some Morngul's. So very wild play for sure. Not really much of a front line, just going with gunnery mobs and Morngul's as like kind of the push. We'll see how this goes. So a couple scurvy dogs here from the Taco are going to be pushing in. And, you know, the one downside, I guess, about these Wild Riders being in the corner is that they're a little bit out of position to stop this. But I think Taco isn't going to be able to find his way in anyways. Those Eternal Guard are able to kind of screen him back. And obviously he doesn't want to, you know, commit those guys too early. You really need to play it safe in this matchup because, again, those missile units need to go down to the doggos at some point. Oh, man, that's really, really rough here for the Taco. The Morngul's get caught with the Prey of Anathrema. There's Eternal Guard. There's Wild Riders. So immediately Flying Taco loses the Morngul's. That's going to be pretty painful. That's like 1,000 gold. So knowing this, is Taco going to recommit? He sends in the scurvy dogs to attack the Dryads, and the Morngul's are going to be pushing in, trying to save the other Morngul's, which he actually does. All right, so he's able to stabilize those guys, which means he might be able to come back and heal them later at the very least. So good play there. In the meantime, on the far side here, we do have some scurvy dogs and some Morngul's able to. Oh man, those guys there got crumped. Did they get pushed off the battlefield? Those Glade Riders? No, they just got forced back, but they took a ton of damage. So Taco was able to get some value on the other side as well. Now, in the front line, the big old crab has been sent in basically as a distraction Carnifex. And here some of the Dryads are pushing into the gun line, but they might just be overwhelmed by sheer number of kind of pebbles here. On the far side, this battle still raging as the Morngul's continue to fight and actually doing a surprisingly good job against these Eternal Guard. Noctil is able to get that big old juicy invocation, but man, Sooth has so much firepower coming over here. How are these Morngul's enduring? Of course, Morngul's do have the hunger, so when they're fighting in melee, they heal, and also the invocation heals them. So, you know, they're actually trading pretty efficiently considering how dicey of a situation it is and also how much Soothsayer is committing to this fight. Really, I mean, Taco's only lost some scurvy dogs and, you know, one Morngul model so far. So really, it's not a bad situation for him. So as far as the frontline fighting goes, Dryads are now engaged against the Tide of Skjold. On the far side, we have gunnery mobs fighting Eternal Guard. But the big crabs in the back line are causing a lot of problems. The crabs and the Morngul's collapsing in, pushing back the Wild Riders of Soothsayer. So just, this battle's really all over the place. Certainly a little bit tricky for me to follow, but we're trying our best here. Some of these Wild Riders in the back have pulled through the center mass and are now cycle charging in, trying to deal with some of the gunnery mobs where they can. The Morngul's on the far side are really proven to be huge MVPs. Like, they weren't supposed to win that fight, but the Morngul's did win it, and now that opens up the Glade Guard. Like, they can push back here, and also, just take a look at this. And this is what's nice about doing a replay, is we can do a very slow analysis of this. Basically, Taco pushed up the middle, collapsed the center, and is going over here, and then he pushed up here. So basically, he's creating what's like a bit of a pincer move here. Like, he's able to collapse here, he's able to collapse here, and it's forcing the Wood Elves, which, this is a very small map, into a very precarious situation. Now, the Wood Elves still have a bunch of Wild Riders, but they're kind of in combat with Noctilus and some Chaff, which isn't probably the best use of their time. Yeah, and you can see Sooth knows this. He pulls back here. These Wild Riders are going to come over here and probably try and help clean up. But the Morngul's have gotten into the Archer line. Glade Guard are now, taking heavy damage here from the Morngul's. And in the back, Morngul's and the Crab are able to get on the Wild Riders here. So a lot of scary engagements. I mean, the pressure from the Vampire Coast is very, very nasty here. But if the Wood Elves can stabilize and maybe clear this area, if the Wood Elves can like fall back here, for example, and start getting their missile line back online, because the Glade Guard, like I said, are not a mobile kiting unit. When they're on the run, they really don't have great DPS. Vampire Coast gunline, a little bit of poking shots here and there. Noctilus dropping another summon here, just trying to tarp it where he can. But there's actually two gunnery mobs advancing and doing a lot of damage. And here the Crab is still a big issue. And without the archers, like if those archers like get taken out, for example, or are, a very low fighting capacity, there's going to be nothing that can kill that Crab. That Crab is just a raid boss for the Wood Elves. If they had some like Way Watchers, for example, or maybe some like Azrai Spears, they might be able to kind of chew it down. But in this case, the only answer for that Crab is maybe the archers with the Starfire Shafts here, but I don't know. So Sooth able to, just like we kind of predicted, rotate very masterfully here. He's able to get these archers away. Here, his Glade Riders are getting away as well, and it looks like he's kiting the Morngul's pretty effectively here. But Noctilus, with a very good summon here from the Roth's Moondial, is able to lock down the Glade Guard, which is so valuable. Taking out those guys, especially when they're close to the edge of the map, is very, very important. You can see here there's one group of archers that is kind of sitting on the edge of the map. But the Morngul Doomstar is just kind of pushing in. The Wild Riders are trying their best, but they're also taking poking fire here from the Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs. And Noctilus is full health as well. But now Sooth is going to go on the offensive. So here comes the Wild Riders. They're going to be charging in here, and they should Shrek these Gunnery mobs pretty well. Wild Riders have really good DPS against light armor. So here they come. Down go the Gunnery mobs. Probably going to lead to crumbling pretty quick here. I would imagine they lost like 20 models on impact. But there's so many zombies and cutlasses, and also, even though these Wild Riders are here, all of these zombos are just shooting their pistols, and it's doing a lot of damage. Wild Riders are lightly armored, and if their backs are turned, they're not going to be able to minimize a lot of that incoming damage. It looks like a big heal is going to be going down here as well, but Noctilus and that Crab, they're thirsting for blood, guys, and they'll probably win this fight. I think that now the Wood Elves might be a little bit tar-pitted here. The gunnery mobs still have a lot of HP and take some time to kill, and the Wild Riders are taking crab slaps as well as anti-large slaps from Noctils here. Very, very scary indeed. Mornghul's in combat here with the Dryads and some of the, just Dryads here over here, basically. Zombie summons are chasing off the Glade Guard. Is this going to be a victory for the Vampire Coast? It's looking like the battle is a little bit grim bones here for the forces of the Wood Elves. So what do we have? We have Flyers here. The Flyers can do some gooning, but guys, there's a fully operational battle crab here. The giant enemy crab has appeared, and I don't know what's going to be able to kill him. The missile line is just in tatters. We have like what? Hagman tips here, which don't have good AP. Starfire shafts. This is like the holy grail for Sooth. He needs to keep those Glade Guard alive. If those Glade Guard get taken out, I don't know what he's going to be able to do. I don't think anything. Also on top of that, like what here can kill Noctilus efficiently? Maybe cycle charging from the two lords. But even still, like there's way too much left here for the Vampire Coast at this point in the game. The Mornghulls have 12 models, 11 models here with an Invocation. They could basically be at their starting strength, which is really scary. 7 Mornghulls here pushing off the Dryads. Missile units from Sooth are now shooting in and getting some good value. He's shooting into the Mornghulls. They're taking some poke and stroke for sure, down to 2.8. Taco is going to fall back and just send in the crab first. And yeah, I feel like that was really illuminating. In the last faction war we had when the Chosen of the Norns, who's a Chinese player, he brought double Rotting Leviathan in missile matchups against like missile factions. And like, they had some missiles, but the Rotting Leviathans with Invo are so tanky with 150 armor that they seem to be able to out-endure all the ammo. It's crazy stuff. Really scrappy battle here once again. Really good play by Sooth as well. Able to pull back and get the big healing on all the Wild Riders and his characters. So really maximizing the efficiency here. And now the archers are shooting in. It looks like they are going after Mornghulls for the most part, but Taco doing a really good job pressing forward and also pulling back the valuable assets that are squishy. So just, you can shoot the crab, you can shoot the gunnery mobs, who cares? But really keeping those Mornghulls for the late game scrap, I think is very important. But yeah, we'll see. So Rotting Leviathan here, just kind of, dancing about. The Wood Elves have finally kind of stabilized and gotten into a position where they're not being pressured, so they can basically freely use all their ammo now and not really stress too much. Sooth with a very nice isolation. He is able to go after the gunnery mobs here, getting some good damage, leading them to crumbling, which means a couple models will probably go as well on top of that. And this is the way to play it for sure. If Sooth can keep harassing with these Wild Riders while his missile pieces generate value and pick off Mornghulls, that's the way he gets back in this game. Because currently, as I see it, I think it's very heavily favored here for the Vampire Coast, despite the bounce of power being relatively even, just based on what I see that's left. But I mean, the birds, what is the weapon strength on this Glade Lord? 420. Another one, it's 390. That's not bad. That can chip down these big armored characters over time with good cycle charging, especially if you can keep some Eternal Guard alive or other things like that. So he feigns a charge here. You can see the Spellslinger of Lights does charge in, leading to the crumbling here of the gunnery mob once again. Mornghulls are coming in. I think Sooth is trying to bait out the Mornghulls, maybe? Because if you can bait them out a little bit of ways from the army and then countercharge them, that would be really, really powerful. Missile units up on the high ground are shooting in, so Sooth able to get a good position. And a nice countercharge right here by Soothsayer, able to get those Mornghulls. They're going to take big damage from that charge. Also, there's a Lord here. Are they crumbling? They're weak binding, -12. They're going down very, very quickly, guys. That is a nice play. That is a powerful unit to pick off. Now, some of the Mornghulls have finally caught the Eternal Guard here. And it looks like there's going to be a Ray Storm coming down as well from Count Noctilus, which of course will rain in from the skies and do some decent damage here against the Wild Rider. So, nothing's for free in this world. He takes a little bit of damage on the return, but at the very least, he is able to crumble these Mornghulls. No, an Invocation was used to keep those guys alive. Very good stuff. Now, Deckhand mobs here are fighting Eternal Guard, pushing up the hill. Bounce of power after that Ray Storm, and these Eternal Guards being crumped is now going in the favor of Vampire Coast and Flying Taco. The Taco pushing up the hill. Mornghulls coming in hot. Here they come. Just sweeping after these Elvish Archers. And they're going to have a pretty bad time. I mean, talk about some of the worst units to actually have to fight in Warhammer Fantasy. Mornghulls definitely are among them. I mean, in terms of just lore, screw that. That is horrible. So the Mornghulls charging in there. Some of the Wild Riders charge in as well to intercept. Here comes the Spellslinger of Life. Of course, the Wood Elves have much more mobility at this point. So being able to isolate the Mornghulls. Nice Prey of Anathema, really good stuff. So he prays the Rotting Leviathan, allowing him to fight the Mornghulls mano-a-mano. But even though he is killing them, he's also taking a lot of damage in return. Those Mornghulls are very, very... I mean, they're not tough to kill per se. They have low melee defense, but the self-healing makes them pretty strong. And here you can see that the Wild Riders are being forced back. So let's go ahead and take inventory of the battlefield. The Tide of Skuld was able to push back these guys. Over here, the Wild Riders were able to clean up the back line. And as far as what the Vampire Coast has, it's really just Rotting Leviathan, Count Noctilus, and that's it. That is it. But, are the Wood Elves going to be able to deal with this? I don't know. Especially with Noctilus, if he's saving a summon in his back pocket, that is going to be so nasty. Because basically what he'll do is he'll just let Sooth use all his ammo. And when Sooth comes in for a blob fight, he'll basically just drop a summon. I don't know. We'll see. This is really close. Even though, The Vampire Coast is ahead. It's winnable for Sooth. Very, very difficult, but he still has ammo too. Glade Guard here have some ammo. The birds have some ammo. Hagman Tips have ammo. Starfire Shafts are the ones he really wants to protect here. And you can see that Flying Taco knows this. It is chasing it with all of his might here. So he's basically trying to create some separation here. So the crab going in. Is the crab going to slap this Glade Lord? 2.3. Noctilus is trying to get in as well, but it looks like Sooth should be able to get away before taking any damage. Did he take some there? No, he did. He took a lot, actually. That was pretty rough. So now the missile units for the Wood Elves are here. I mean, yeah, basically, if you're able to kill the Rotting Leviathan with all your focus fire, you could probably cycle charge Count Noctilus into oblivion. You just stay in combat with one unit at a time, cycle charge him. It'll take 45 minutes, but it'll certainly be able to do it. Man. And I haven't seen this game either. I have no idea how this is going to go. Wild Riders coming in. Looks like they're going to be maybe being sacrificed to Tar Pit here. The Lords up in the sky definitely want to use all your ammo before you engage. And some of the Wild Riders basically just buying time for the Glade Guard to go. Sooth definitely wants to split these guys up. Run one Starfire Shaft this way, run the other one this way. Pravenoth Ram is going down, so now is the time for the missile strike. So here it comes. The crab is going to get focused, and we'll see if the bounce power ebbs back towards the middle. Nice charge coming in from the Glade Lord. A little bit risky, though, with Noctilus nearby with his halberd. Charging in the Spellsinger isn't as risky. And guys, is Sooth going to be able to scrap this back? Maybe so. This is the classic ending of every Vampire Coast game. Rotting Leviathan here. Getting healed with Invo. So it looks like he was saving his Winds of Magic for a fat Invo, which is the right play, I think. Keeping that crab alive is very, very important here. So Noctilus going in, Terror Route going down, and the Glade Riders. Glade Riders are obviously a skirmish cav unit. They're not going to be super good in melee combat here. But the crab is getting worn down, but my concern for Sooth is that his ammo is running low. And you guys can see as the ammo does run low, the bounce power goes even more and more into the favor of Vampire Coast. Count Noctilus charging. He is a raid boss all on his own. Of course, he does have the hunger, so as he fights, he heals. And let's go ahead and double check on Noctilus and see his healing cap here. Yeah, he's got a lot of room in his healing cap. So Noctilus is going to take a while. Oh, and the crab slap, the atomic drop on top of the Glade Rod. Oh, and another invocation. That is so brutal. Sooth, of course, being very patient, using his Earthbloods and gathering up his forces here. And you can see some of these archers are moving in to attack here. So, of course, he is attacking. And, yeah, these archers just running for the hills. Wild Riders might come in. Bit of a sacrificial lamb. Yeah, the one that's out of ammo is jumping in, trying to, tar pit these guys. Here comes the birds. The bird is the word. Will they come in, or will Flying Taco and his Crab Legion emerge victorious? This is the final battle in this best of three. A lot at stakes here. Here comes the birds charging in. The birds are going to be charging into the back of Leviathan. Great positioning because Noctilus is a little bit separated and tar pitted here, and the Leviathan is taking a lot of damage. Down to 4.2. Rear charge. It was crumbling for a moment. I wonder if Noctilus has a disgusting summon in his back pocket. If he does, this is the time. Oh, but look at this. Noctilus able to shank the Glade Lord. She's very low. And the big concern here, despite the crab taking this much damage, is the mass terror route. It's probably going to go down, to be honest. Here you can see the Glade Guard are scattering for the hills. Noctilus is in perfect shape too. And the shank going down on the bird lady up in the sky. Or the bird guy, whatever it is. I don't really know. I haven't looked in a while. But yeah, that's really brutal. And now the archers are going to get crab slapped. Noctilus is in good shape. The Rotting Leviathan, without those invos, it would be down to probably 1600 HP, which would be much more manageable here. But yeah, he's got a cycle charge. He's got to do some damage to the crab where he can. So here comes the secondary charge from Sooth. Is he going to be able to finish off the crab? If he can finish off the crab, he might have a chance here, even though the bounce is so bad for him. Because the cycle charging from those birds while Noctilus is tar pitted. Noctilus isn't great at clearing out hordes. It usually takes a while. And it looks like the crab is taking a bit of work. Here comes the ladies here. The Spellsinger as well as the Lord. Oh, and she gets crab slapped. She gets caught in the pincer. And that's going to be game, guys. And Flying Taco is going to win the game. He's advancing on to the grand finals, the top four. And he defeats Talaxlan Soothsayer in a best of three. Very well played to those two players. That was insanely good. So Flying Taco shall get the 2-1 victory against Soothsayer. Yes. That was pretty brutal. That was pretty brutal indeed. Well played to those two gentlemen. Absolutely scrappy game. And in both games, in the first game, the Titan defeated him, right? And this game, the Crab defeated him. It's like the big armor, both games seem to be a pretty big problem. Yeah. That was crazy. That was such a scrappy game. Taco's Morngul and Dog Pursuit was really good as well. But Sooth, recovering from that was also very impressive. Both players just played such a good game. It was a pleasure to watch that series. Yeah. A pleasure indeed. So now, my friends, we go over to the bracket. It's going to be Flying Taco against Amovebacker in next weekend's tournament. Of course, the top four will be on Saturday the 21st at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So let's tune in for that. That one will, of course, be live. Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy indeed. So now, my friends, we prepared the next series. Go ahead and take a look here. All right, everything looks good. Stream is not causing any drama. So now, Falcon's in chat. No spoilers, Falcon, to the series. We have Falcon facing off against Anticity. Should be quite a bit of fun. We're going to load up this bad boy here in just a moment. But let's go ahead here and check something real quick. Perfect, perfect. Everything looks kosher, as they say. And the brackets are up, covering the replays, because I'm very paranoid about that. So well played to Sooth and Flying Taco. That was such a good series. I'm going to delete those replays real quick so I don't accidentally load them in again. Yeah, the big monsters were very strong, for sure. And it can catch people off guard because, like, for the longest time, people were kind of like, oh yeah, I'm not going to bring, like, big monsters against these missile factions because they'll just die. But it seems like it's just like, it's going at full circle again. Yeah. All right. Perfect. We're loading in here. Falcon on the Lizardmen in Game 1. The true child of the old ones facing off against the Warriors of Chaos, who shall be led by ODM Anticity. XMT versus ODM clan war here in this battle. Let us see how it goes. Predictions, people. Let us know in chat as we load in and prepare this battle. I'm going to pause for a quick second. And let us go ahead and switch over to the battle itself. And check the banner colors. And guys, we purposely had people send the replays from both perspectives, so you guys won't be able to guess based on that. All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and load into the flash journey here. So this shall be Falcon on the Lizardmen. And of course, this is a fresh series, so no scores. We just got to update this real quick, guys. We'll be jumping in to the next match. Let me know if you guys enjoy the format as well. I like doing replay streams sometimes. I think it's cool to mix in. I think for this, it's better too, for like scheduling purposes. Yeah. All right, we got Anticity here in this best of 3. This is our third best of 3 of the day. Shetland says, prediction, not enough dwarfs. No, there's no screen blocker today. There's no screen blocker. Although I'm like, even though I'm not using one, I'm still paranoid. Yeah, Aminar being a unit would be really fun. All right, guys. Here we are. We're in the battle. Let's go ahead and take a look. For the forces of Falcon, the child of the old ones. It's got Pterodon Riders in the sky, which are basically like Lizardmen-like cav. And against Chaos, they have some decent applications for like harassing throwing axes and things like that. They have 90 range throwing axes, I think have 70 or 80. So they can actually counter skirmish throwing axes pretty well. And the rock drops actually do a surprising amount of damage. On top of that, we have Chameleon Skinks in the front, cohorts, a laser dino as well to force the Warriors of Chaos in to this Temple Guard box. So basically, this is classic Falcon. The Brono's Time Warp Temple Guard box, forcing Chaos to come fight, using the Bastiladon, and just kind of Helm's Deeping it with the Feral Carnosaur and Temple Guard. I love this build. It's awesome. Awesome indeed. Now for the Forces of Chaos and Anticity. He's got Marauder Horse Masters. Totally does have how many? 3? So opting to go for the less AP, but kind of more range and more overall DPS. And he does have a Shadowcaster as well. Up on a mighty Chaos Dragon. For the ground force, he does have a combination of Chaos Marauders with great weapons. And I think just Marauders, yeah. That's actually a good choice. I mean, they will obviously lose to Temple Guard in combat, but at least they have AP. You know, it's better than regular Marauders who would basically do nothing against Temple Guard. He does have a couple Chosen with Halberds to help deal with big dinos. Granted, I've always found that Chosen with Halberds, I've never really had success with them. Like, I find that big dinos can just kind of cycle charge them, and unless it's like late game and all that's left are single entities, it's been a little bit tricky for me. Now, Giants I found to be pretty good against dinos as well. He does have a single Giant, and Giants for 1,500 gold can trade with Dread Saurians very cost effectively. They're actually very, very beastly. So he does have a Giant, and that is pretty much it. And some Hounds, and it looks like a Wild Chaos Chariot just to kind of deal with Skinks and rear charge infantry and things like that. So, cool build. Let's see how this scrap goes. So the Forces of Chaos obviously will need to advance here simply because Falcon does indeed have a Bastiladon with the Solar Engine. Solar Engine will be a pretty good poking tool against the Horse Masters. And the Pterodons are also a really good counter-skirmishing tool. Also, guys, if you're playing Lizardmen against Beastmen, I really like using Pterodon Riders to counter Centaur throwing axes. It's kind of the same principle. They have shorter range. You can kite, and worst case scenario, you can like go in and dive and fight. So the first laser dino, man, brutal damage. Look at that. 39 models left. It was able to take out 6. And the little chameleon skinks just cackling in the front line, just chittering. Well, they probably don't chitter. That's more of a Skaven thing. I don't know. What kind of sounds would they make? Yeah. It's always really funny in the trailers. Skinks make the most ridiculous kind of laughing sounds and things like that. So here, the Pterodon Rider is able to fall back, just doing a little bit of poking. It also gives really annoying damage against the dragon. But the dragon only has 70 armor too, so the little Pterodons can do a little bit of poke on him and keep him honest. But again, Falcon very happy in his defensive position here. Laser Dino zapping that Chaos Sorcerer Lord. And again, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord cannot heal. Any damage he does take is going to be permanent. Hopefully in Game 3 they'll add things like Mark of Nurgle and ways to kind of heal your Chaos characters, because that's always something that's a little bit tricky for them, is getting their characters kind of gooned out there. So here you go. Master Horsemen here, Horse Masters, throwing in against Skink cohorts, which is really not cost effective for them. They do, of course, have shields and can counterfire pretty effectively, but Falcon pulling back into a defensive posture, cohort of Sotek and the cohorts pulling back. But here comes the Barona's Time Warp. This entire lizard army is going to be juiced on steroids now. Their melee attack is now going to be 55, which is just going to cut through these Chaos troops like butter. You can see the Chaos Marauders getting cut down really, really quickly by that. Both of them are at like half health here. But here comes the Pendulum. This could be really good. Nice play by Anticity. Oh, beautiful Pendulum by Anticity there. Able to just crump two groups of Temple Guard. It won't finish them, but that's really, really good value for sure. In the back, it looks like some Poison Hounds and the Chariot trying to jump on the Slan Mage here, but the cohort of Sotek, as well as some other cohorts, able to kind of defend their Lord back here. And the Pterodon Rider is being used very effectively. It looks like we may have missed a rock drop over here on the Marauder Horseman, but for the most part, yeah, I think Falcon did a rock drop. You can see here the Marauder Horsemasters just getting destroyed by the Pterodon Riders. They're like flying overhead, just shooting poison darts at them. It's very, very nasty for sure. Here comes a banishment from the Slan. This could be a really nice one here from Falcon. Here it comes. Oh, brutal banishment, doing so much damage. It might go into the Temple Guard. Breath attack coming in from the Chaos Dragon as well. But that banishment was really good. Wearing down those Chosen is like of supreme importance here. So now comes the Giant. Giant's going to be charging in and going after the big old Bastillodon here, which it might do its thing. Feral Carnosaur is fighting in the front line, obviously being attacked by the Chaos Dragon, probably going to want to pull back here, or at least just fight the Chaos Sword. The Lizards are losing some stuff in the front line. I mean, they have one group of Temple Guard here that's very, very beat up from the breath attack here. The cohort of Sotek, of course, is unbreakable, and they're going to be a really nice late game presence. They'll actually put a pretty big dent in the Chosen with Halberds, but another Pendulum coming down, not as devastating as the first one, but nonetheless not bad. But yeah, the Chaos Infantry are breaking for the most part. They just have the Chosen with Halberds left, and Chosen with Halberds will not trade efficiently with the cohort of Sotek at all. And these Temple Guard here, of course, will probably be able to beat the Chosen if the Pterodon Riders provide some support. They're still much healthier, but Temple Guard are just so tough to break. Such an elite unit. So now we have the King Kong versus Godzilla fight, guys. This is pretty scary. This battle is very, very close here. You can see we have the Giant fighting the Carnosaur, and we have the Chaos Dragon going after the Slan. Now, Aura of Pretzel is activated, but the Slan is getting cooked pretty hard by these attacks here. Barona's Time Warp active as well, which is going to give the Carnosaur a little bit of speed and melee attack prowess. Oh no, but the counterattack coming in. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Shadows being attacked by the very speedy Barona's affected Time Warp Carnosaur thing, and you can see that the Chaos Sorcerer Lord is down for the count. And with that being the case, that gooning right there, I don't think Chaos, it's going to be too hard, because basically Falcon at this point can either kill it, which he does, or he could have chased it off the battlefield with the Powhawks and Sentinels, or any number of other units. Now, the Giant is still a bit of an issue, but with all these Temple Guard, with Skinks here, with cohorts throwing javelins, and the front line of Chaos pretty much in shambles here, the Chosen are just all going down. Pterodon Riders are like full health and have, a fair amount of ammo for this point in the game. That Giant is going to get crumped pretty hard. So the Wrath of the Old Ones once again strikes, as Falcon and his Lizard Legion is able to move forward and smite the foul heretics. Well played. The Pterodon Rider play was masterful. It was really, really good. Shutting down all the Horsemasters. The Horsemasters got very little value. And then on top of that, of course, the Barona's Time Warping Lizards in the front line were very, very tough to deal with. Granted, Anticity had a really good Pendulum there that was exactly what it needed. But also the Chaos Dragon just getting wrecked like that, man, that was pretty brutal for sure. So that is going to be game 1 going to Falcon. Let's update it. Now we're going to game 2 in this series. Will Anticity claw his way back? Sneaky Falcon going from the back with a Carno to get a rear charge, I know. Yes. Yeah, the Chaos Dragon is a weird thing. I regret it as well. I've never had it work for me. Yeah. The first Pendulum did a lot of damage, actually. Did a lot. I don't think Pterodon's seen a nerf. I don't know. I don't think so. All right, guys. That is that. Game 1. Now, my friends, we're going to jump on over to game 2, and you can take a look at the brackets as we do this. Of course, we've had our first 2 best of the 3s. We've had Amovebacker and Flying Taco, and now we're on our third one, Falcon versus Anticity of ODM. Yes. Let us do it. We are going to load in here. Second game is going to be Anticity on Dwarves, and he is really good at Dwarves. And he's going to be facing off against Falcon's High Elves. So let's load this bad boy in. We'll fire up the replay in just a moment. We'll get it rolling. We'll get it rolling, my friends. Thank you so much for joining today. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's pretty fun to see the players who actually played in chat as well. Falcon saying that the red-crested skinks aren't necessarily super efficient because their stats are bad, but it's more about spreading the poison. But the cohort of Sotek still has pretty good melee attack. And yeah, being able to poison elite troops is generally pretty cost-effective. All right. So we're in the second replay. Altdorf Outskirts is here. So let us load in here. Bam. There we go. So guys, for the forces of the High Elves, who shall be led by Falcon, he is going to be coming in with Alariel, the Pigeon Queen, with some fat healing. He also has the double noble on chariots, which is like classic anti-dwarf. These things are just so annoying to deal with. Anti-infantry, great AP values, mobile, can really benefit from the single target healing, the Star of Avalorn. Multiple Dragon Princes as well, so pretty heavy on the shock cap. And for his infantry game, like this build is just all business, just all AP, all business, all things that are good against Dawi. So he's got White Lions into the Sunset and one group of the Swordmasters of Hoeth. Nice little build, very elite. Now for the forces of the Dawi, let's take a look here at Anticity. He's got Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons in the front, Thunderers in the secondary line. It looks like, no, just one gun unit here, one Thunderer. He also has Trollheimer Torpedoes and a cannon, both of which are very effective against the nobles, for sure. Granted, Falcon does have a pretty good tree line he can hide in, which is going to make it a little bit harder. But he is coming out with double cannon. My only concern with builds that have this many cannons are that they oftentimes get overwhelmed by just sheer numbers because your infantry quality kind of lacks a little bit. He does also have 4 Rangers, it looks like. So he's got 4 Rangers here. He has Gotrek. He has a Rune Lord for slows and a lot of missile play. And also it looks like the Peak Gate Guard, no, just regular hammer. So basically, Anticity is going to have to get really good value out of his cannons this game and really pound down those single entity characters if he can. So the cannons are shooting in. I think with a cannon build, you probably want to deploy more over here to kind of stay away from the forest, because in this case, Falcon can use the tree line. And you can see he immediately sends all of his Dragon Princes into the trees, which they'll be hidden in a moment most likely, which is going to keep the dwarves from getting a lot of value out of their cannons. Granted, I mean, it's not bad so far. He's taken out 6 Dragon Princes, and of course, High Elves cannot resurrect models. The other cannon, in the meantime, is going after the Swordmasters, which is also a good target. So, you know, good initial play here from both players. Falcon hiding in the tree line, going to be sweeping out and probably overwhelming this Ranger position pretty easily. I don't know if there's any Slayers in this army. Do we have Dragonback Slayers? At least no, just regular Slayers, so there isn't any real slow outside of the Rune Lord. So here comes the Nobles. Nobles are going to be charging in. Anticity should have his Iron Drakes ready to kind of start pounding into them. Also, Gotrek is here as well. Gotrek is going to be a relatively tough character to deal with. Now the frontline fighting is underway. Cannon shooting in once again, getting some really nice shots against the Noble, actually. And here comes Alariel going to do battle here with Gotrek. It's a wild engagement. Dragon Prince is swarming in, and like, look at this, guys. There's not too much here. I mean, just these guys, and there's 2 full might princes coming in. These Slayers probably need to rotate down and under here to intercept those Dragon Princes. So here in the front, guys, we have the Thunderer shooting in, getting some okay poke against the White Lions. And as far as this fighting goes, the Nobles are looking to be coming in to fight here, going to be running into the Dwarf Warriors. And now the Trollheimer Torpedoes, they get a couple of volleys in. The Dragon Princes do take a lot of work, but the Dragon Prince is pretty much able to run amok here in the back line. These Slayers need to rotate right now because this missile pressure will do okay, but it's just Quarrelers or Rangers. They don't have crazy AP against like heavily armored shielded cav units. It's not going to be super efficient. So some of these Dwarf Warrior infantry are pulling back. Gotrek is kind of standing still, but now he's coming in as well. And that's really potentially going to be a saving grace. Slayers are finally rotating back. And Dragon Princes are getting worn down at the very least. Cannon's still shooting here, which is good. But like I said, he didn't have enough to defend his flanks here. And you can see the White Lions are going to be coming in. The Dwarven Thunders are doing some decent damage, but the front line for the Dwarves is pretty much in shambles, aside from the Hammerer fight. They are, of course, doing pretty well for themselves there. But there's just so many cav units in the back line here. Basically, he's having to pull off the cannons this early in the game, which is really, really not good, especially considering the White Lions aren't like a fast unit per se. They had to go all the way around, and yeah, the Dwarves kind of fending off the Dragon Princes. Our missile units are still shooting. Pretty cool geometry for sure. The fact that he's so spread out is making his missiles as optimal as they can be based on the circumstances. But one Noble's back here. They're running over the Trollhammer Torpedoes. They're getting into the artillery crews. There's White Lines in the back line. The Dwarven Hammers have won their frontline engagement and have now turned around and engaged here. And the Dwarves probably need to get their missiles run over where this Thunderer is and start to shoot from over there, because this position is probably going to get crumped pretty bad as the Dragon Princes are able to charge in, and it's going to be pretty grim bones for the Dawi here. You can see they're holding on. They're doing their piece. In the meantime here, Dragon Princes are healed up by a nice Earthblood, Alariel the Pigeon Queen occupying the Slayers, keeping them away from the more important engagements here. Slayers basically protecting the Rangers, which they should probably be trying to protect the Iron Drakes and things like that, but it's going to be tough. Now, some of the Sword Masters are very low. Anticity should be able to finish them off, and honestly, the bounce power is still pretty even, despite the back line being just absolute anarchy. These Dwarven Hammers have really actually been some of the MVPs this game. 88 kills, and they're really taking it to some of these High Elf Infantry units. They've been able to kill one, and now they'll probably finish off this other one. And maybe if these guys can finish and the Swordmasters get taken out, you know, and the Dwarves can kind of scrap a little bit, but I feel like their back line is just so wild. And the cannons haven't really been, like, pushed off yet, but once they get pushed off, I think we're going to see a more accurate reflection of the bounce of power. Now, Gotrek is here as well. Nice Trollhammer torpedoes coming in from Anticity, shooting there. The Gotrek, of course, can be ignored by many of these units. And he's going to charge. He's going for that Noble. 2,000 HP, and he gets run over here. Master of Rune and Wrath and Rune is down. Gotrek is here, and he's chopping down this Noble pretty efficiently, but the Star of Avalorn should keep him active, and now the Trollhammer torpedoes are firing once again. So maybe this Noble going down could be a boon here for the Dawi, but the back line is just like I said. White lines are chasing everything. There's a wild Noble running rampant. The Trollhammers are offline. The cannons are offline. That's a lot of gold that's just not doing anything right now. And you can see the bounce power is starting to reflect that as the Dwarves are just losing so many valuable units everywhere. Their missile units are in melee combat here with White Lions, and the Noble still alive despite the big investment to try and finish him off. Over here we do have Hammers and Dwarf Warriors doing their thing, hammering down some of the foul High Elves here. Noble up on the high ground, charging in once again. Slayers are in combat with armored units, which is pretty much always a bad thing for them. Slayers, pretty decent combat stats, but if you look at their AP values, 48 proportionally, only 16 of that is armor piercing. Somewhat similar to like Saurus Warriors, but they will not trade efficiently with White Lions in my experience. So we have some Dwarven missile units back online, shooting in once again. The High Elf leadership, it looks like Anticities was able to get the Noble here, which is a really nice catch. The Rune Lord here in the meantime is being charged down by the other Noble. So Gotrek, of course, being a hero of the Dwarves, despite, very dire circumstances, he is able to get some really good value. But that is going to be army losses, guys. And Falcon with a 2-0 win here in the round of 8 is going to be advancing on to the grand finals to face the winner of Imperator and Arkin the Black. So there you have it, my friends. Gotrek will make his last stand, but from here we'll do a little bit of fast forwarding as it is pretty much a foregone conclusion. Well played. I think the Dwarven build had way too much ranged. I'm trying to think, like, maybe he's bringing that many Rangers to deal with, what is it? Like single entities, like dragons and things like that, and like phoenixes. But I feel like had he cut all these Rangers, cut all the Rangers, leave the Thunder, the Iron Drakes, and the 2 cannons, and then just get more defensive units, it would have been a lot better for sure, because he just didn't have the bodies to defend all his missile pieces in his back line. The Dragon Princes were able to run shop in the back line. White Lions were able to even sneak around. Yeah. I see where he's kind of going with it, but yeah. Yeah, the healing on the chariots is really, really strong. All right. Falcon saying, GG Anticity, he can play way better than this. Falcon giving his opponent some props for sure. And yeah, Anticity is a very good player. For sure, he's very, very good. But that is going to be a 2-0 victory for Falcon. Making the old ones proud once again. So let's go ahead and update the bracket. Falcon will advance to the grand finals. So far, for our grand finals, we have Amovebacker, Flying Taco, Falcon. And now it's going to be Imperator and Arkin the Black in our last best of 3 of the day. We will see how this goes. Yeah, maybe he expected a mass archer build. Yeah, maybe, Ryan. Or Flying Taco. Maybe. Falcon's build was just very optimized and very well played also. Yes. So guys, thank you for joining on today's stream. It's going to be a more efficient, fluid stream in terms of the time frame. So we'll probably go, that depends on how long this best of 3 goes. So there's the bracket, guys. And now I'm going to be setting up the next replay, which is going to be Imperator facing off against Arkin the Black. Let me go ahead and delete these replays here to make sure I don't accidentally open those. Very excited for this one. Very excited indeed. Both these players, very skilled for sure. Game 1 is going to be Imperator on the forces of the Empire facing off against the Tomb Kings, who shall be led by Arkin the Black. Actually not playing his namesake. It looks like he's playing Cetra, which is a little bit, kind of out of flavor, but it is what it is. We'll see how it goes. The Emperor versus the Nehakaran Emperor, I suppose. The Battle of Battles. So, of course, we are on the same maps today, guys, because I wanted to, since it is kind of a very... I'm trying to make sure that all the players play on the same maps, at least for the round of 8. So, they're playing on equal grounds across the board. So that's why you're seeing the same maps over and over, in case you're wondering. All right, let's load in here. There we are. So we're going to update the scorecards real quick. And this will be Imperator. And he's going to be facing off against Arkin. So I'm just going to put it as Arkin for short. Again, thank you guys all for joining on your Fridays. Hopefully you guys are all staying safe out there. Cameron Brittig, thank you so much. Love the content. Keep it up. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know about Imperator's main factions, as a matter of fact. Somebody just messaged me. It's like, screen blocker. Ah, you trolls. You trolls getting me all paranoid. All right, guys. We're loading in. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army of Imperator. He's got spearmen, swordsmen in the front line, state troops, pretty standard stuff. He does also have Demogryph Knights with halberds. Of course, very good against big constructs and whatnot. In the back, he does have the Hammer of the Witches and another great cannon, a couple spears as well. And it looks like Imperator does have some outriders with grenade launchers, which I really like against both Skaven and Tomb Kings. Pretty good at clearing through the lightly armored infantry, like very effective against Tomb Guard. Up in the sky is Karl Franz on, he feels so wrong seeing him on this mount. He's not on Deathclaw, he's going to be on his little Pegasus here. And a Jade Wizard in the back as well. So obviously plenty of anti-large. Infantry might be one of the harder things for him to deal with, but we'll see how it works out. Now for the forces of Arkin the Black here in the Tomb Kings, let's take a look. He's got Skeleton Spearmen and Nahakar Warriors, maybe with some Tomb Guard. No, just Skeleton Warriors. Got some Tomb Guard mixed in, so very mixed forces front line. A couple of groups of Skeleton Horsemen Archers. Necropolis Knights with Halberds in the back. Skeleton Chariots, Necrotect. Such the Imperishable on his big old Sphinx. And on top of that, more Necropolis Knights with Halberds. Absolutely wild. And of course, Skeleton Archers. Skeleton Archers are a pretty cost-effective skirmishing unit against the Empire. They can certainly do a lot of work against like Pistoliers and things like that. They have 140 range, so they can outrange Pistoliers and I think Outriders as well, or at least they have the same range there. So in the meantime, Franz going in for some freebies. He is able to pick off 4 Nahakar Warriors on his Pegasus here. Some of the grenade launchers are going to be coming forward. A little bit obstructed by the tree line, unfortunately, but they still should make contact. And here comes the damage. And yeah, doing some good work. It looks like some of the volleys did miss because they were kind of coming down a slope, but as they shoot more and more, it'll certainly start to tear apart these Tomb King's infantries. In the front line, Imperator does get his Demogryph Knights with halberds, charges in and gets some really free value here against these guys, and it looks like Arkin a little bit behind on the reaction here. Some of Cetra and his other units just behind that engagement. He was just off. And the second volley did massive damage. You can see these Nahakar Warriors down almost half health from 2 volleys from those grenade launchers. So it really shows like how truly good of a unit they are. So Imperator with some really nasty cycle charging in the front, really wearing down the Tomb King's front line initially. Cannon shooting in, of course, and I think they're going after the Necropolis Knights. It looks like they are, which of course is good to free up his Demogryph Knights and troops like that. Now Arkin does respond with some chariots in the front, able to ride through some of the spearmen with shields. And yeah, doing some okay damage, but Franz is nearby. Demogryph Knights are nearby as well. But it looks like we're about to get a big old ugly blob fight here, which I don't know if the Empire wants to take this quite yet. But it looks like they might. So Reikland Runefang, Stand Your Ground is popped. I think, no, just Stand Your Ground is activated, and now we have a big old nasty blob fight. Yeah, Reikland Runefang is now active, but the Desiccation is going down as well, the Incantation of Desiccation, which does lower the stats of all these units. I mean, Demis now are rocking 8 and 11 for their combat stats. That's brutal. Empire Knights charging in to sustain with some of the state troops, trying to wear down these Nahakar Warriors, and it looks like the grenade launchers are pulled back before they take too much damage here from the skeletons. Now we got a pretty nasty blob fight, like I said. Demogryph Knights with halberds took pretty minimal damage, and the skeleton, or the Empire Spearmen, were able to kind of at least provide some buffering to allow them to retreat. But is Franz going to be able to get away here? It's a little bit scary. There's a lot of Necropolis Knights, and if Arkin the Black reacts quickly and pulls back these Necropolis Knights with halberds, he could trap in Franz, and that could be a really, really bad start for Imperator. We'll see. But so far, the harass has been quite good. Some of the sneaky snakes do overextend, allowing the Demogryph Knights to turn around and charge those guys. In the back, Arkin pushing in with his Necrotech, attacking these Empire Knights, but oh no, this is not good. Some of these Skeleton Horsemen Archers get around the back and shut down the cannon. The Hammer of the Witches, thankfully, Imperator reacts very quickly and should be able to salvage that situation, but still very scary. But this is really not good for Imperator here. You can see Karl Franz is surrounded. Necropolis Knights have crazy good mass, and they also do have anti-large, armor piercing, and poison. So Franz is slowed. He's going to have a really hard time getting away. And it looks like Arkin is going to be able to goon out Franz pretty quickly here, which is, I don't know, that might spell doom for the Empire, guys. Because from there, like, who is going to wield the Warhammer and do battle here with Arkin the Black's Lord, Cetra? I mean, Cetra is an absolute beast. Now in the back line, Skeleton Horsemen Archers charge in, and at that point, Imperator pretty much knows he's done for, and he does drop out of the game. So basically, his cannons were compromised, his Lord was gone, and a lot of the other Imperial forces were collapsing. That's going to be a quick game 1 for Arkin the Black, guys. A quick one. But it just came down to Karl Franz being taken out like that. That was pretty brutal. And without the Emperor, the Empire, you know, it's a hard time. So it's going to be game 1 going to Arkin in this best of 3. Controversial stuff, guys. If Arkin wins the next game, He will advance on to the grand finals. If Imperator wins, we have a best of 3. We will see how it goes. That is game 1. Sigmar, no! I know. Everyone in chat's like, bye, Sigmar! Yes. That was a quick one, guys. I do play Tabletop Warhammer quite a bit, Rob Knock. So let me check everything here, and we will now go back to the bracket for a quick moment and load into the next replay in this very hotly contested best of 3. Game 2 is going to be Imperator on the Dark Elves facing off against Arkin the Black, who's going to be taking up the banner of Sigmar. So let us load in. Imperator with his Druchii. I would imagine we're going to see some Scourge under Chariots, some nastiness to boot. And this should be a fun game. So guys, thanks again for joining. This is the ECL Season 4 Grand Finals Round of 8. Next weekend, Saturday, the 21st at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be having the top 4. This game is deciding the last spot there. Now we're going to load in. So here we are. So in this match, guys, we have Imperator on the forces of the Druchii. Malekith, the Witch King, up in the sky. We got Cold One Knights on the ground, of course, anti-large, armor piercing, a couple of repeater crossbows, and Scourge Runner Chariots. I think he has 2 in total. So both players playing kind of kite builds, really. I mean, if you look at Imperator's army, he's got Dark Riders, he's got Cold One Knights for the mobile game, Slaanesha's Harvesters, 2 Scourge Runners as well, and Malekith, of course, for the big, disgusting Soul Stealer blobs. He has a couple infantry, really, but it's just kind of chaff. He's got Bleak Swords and Dread Spears and things like that. So yeah, it's not like too much in the infantry game. Now for Arkin the Black, he's got Royal Altorf Griffites, Demis with Lances. It looks like in total he has 3 of those, including the Griffites. He's got a lot of Pistoliers, or Grenade Launchers. Grenade Launchers, Pistoliers. Yeah, so he's not looking to fight an infantry fight. It looks like he's trying to fight the kite fight. Karl Franz up in the sky. He does have a Jade Wizard as well, and on the ground we have 2 more Pistoliers. So both players just like reared and ready to go for a good old-fashioned kite fest. So, gonna get some water here before this game goes. Delicious H2O. Waterboy's such a good movie. Man, takes me back. So the battle's underway. Scourge Runners shooting into the Pistoliers, able to pick off 2 models there, which is, a value of sorts. I would imagine that the Scourge Runners will probably start shooting into the Demis with halberds here. You always got to watch out for that Soul Stealer as well from Malekith the Witch King lurking up in the skies. Some of the Grenade Launchers are going to sally forth, but certainly won't do much. The Scourge Runners can probably beat them in melee combat as well as in the kiting game. And grenades don't do a lot of damage against armor, and Scourge Runners do have 80 armor. So now we have some of the repeater crossbows coming in from the Dark Riders, shooting into the Demogryph Knights with halberds. Franz is coming in. It's a risky play. The Franz, man, he's getting a little bit aggressive here. There's a bunch of Cold One Knights and Harvesters here, and Malekith, smells blood as well. So is Franz going to be basically tossed in both games? I don't know, actually. It kind of looks like it right now. I mean, this could be a big blob fight, but the blob fight will favor the Druchii, simply because of the Soul Stealer. So fat, erect Soul Stealer going down. Malekith with the rear charge. Oh man, this is very dangerous. Golem Raz popped as well. All the buffs going down for both players. Pretty much both players are just like, screw it, just throw everything at the wall. Let's see what happens. Repeater crossbows are still shooting as well. The repeater crossbows are sitting happily. They're shooting into the Demogryph Knights. Shield of Thorns going down, Earthblood going down, just all the buffs. But Franz, once again, is kind of getting beaten down. It looks like it's not the day for Franz. Cold One Knights are winning their fights, and here comes the Slaanesha's Harvesters with the rear charge. So suddenly, all the Demogryph Knights, all the mobile units for the Empire, at least the hard-hitting mobile units, are really beat up, and that fight went heavily to the Dark Elves. Heavily. Demogryph Knights are all just in shambles for the most part. Still 22 models here, so a regrowth could actually do some really good work. But the Cold One Knights are still healthy. But in the back, though, a nice counterattack here by Arkin. He's able to get the Pistoliers. Nice play and jump onto the repeater crossbows. However, Imperator responds very quickly. He pulls his Slaanesha's Harvesters from that blob fight and is able to push back the Pistoliers. So both players scrapping pretty hard here. Scourge Runner Chariots are still in pretty good shape. Looks like 3 models on these ones, 3 models on these guys, and those things are just nasty, generating really, really good value. We'll see if they can kite these Demis. Now in the back, Franz is looking for some opportunities to maybe go fisticuffs with Malekith, but I doubt it. And it looks like over here, Imperator has forgotten about some of his Dark Riders, which is a little bit unfortunate. So hopefully he grabs those guys and just sends them to fight whatever they can fight, really. I mean, honestly, anything at this point would be decent. And the Slaanesha's Harvesters are coming to attack these very beat-up Demis right here, which will allow the Scourge Runners to shoot them happily. And as a matter of fact, they're wavering. -5, those Demis are going to get broken off the battlefield. That is 13 models. That is down for the count. So currently, guys, if you look at the balance of power, it is massively, actually, not massively, but noticeably in the favor here of Imperator. And he's able to chase off the Demis. He's able to win that blob fight. His Dark Riders are noticed, and he's able to pull those guys back, which, in the end is going to be kind of a boon. He's going to pull them in and be able to pin in these guys. And basically, the only real damage Imperator has taken, I mean, he's taken damage across the board, but most of those units are still combat effective. He's really only lost like bleak swords. I don't know what my brain was thinking there. Dread spears, bleak swords, things like that. So for the most part, he's in pretty good shape. And we'll do some fast forwarding as well, guys, since there's a little bit of kiting and things get a little bit wild here. But look at that, weaving the seam here. Those Dark Riders are able to escape the wrath of Sigmar for a quick moment. But 8 leadership, 11 leadership, I think that Imperator is probably fine with another blob fight if it does turn into that. And Arkin can kite him, but like the longer he kites him, the more value these Scourge Runners are getting. The repeater crossbows are hammering into those demis. Like, I think the kite game is actually better for the Druchii here. And it looks like maybe some sort of a heal going down. Overcasted Earthblood as well. Franz up in the sky, maybe looking to fight Malekith, which is a bold strategy. I mean, he's pretty beat up himself, and there's a ton of repeater crossbows nearby. You can see Franz being kind of dragged through that firepower. Certainly not happy about it. Scourge Runners are kiting back. Looks like Arkin might be going in for one last desperate kind of attempt here to get back in the game. But he really doesn't have much punch. Losing those demis early was very, very painful. Some of these demis, the Royal Outdorf Griffites, are overextending pretty hard, pulling into the back where Bleak Swords or Dread Spears or whatever could be used. And that is going to be a withdrawal. I mean, basically, Arkin knew it was over at that point. Franz was losing to Malekith here. Another Soul Stealer goes down there. And that is going to be the game. Imperator on the board, 1-1, guys. We're going to game 3. We're going to game 3. Of course, he could have played longer, but I'm pretty sure Imperator would have won regardless in the end. You know, some players don't like to, play all the way through. When they think or know it's over, then they just step out there. There you go. There you go. That is it. That is it. So Franz not having the best days. You know, he's having a rough run here, the Franz man, but it's okay. I'm sure he'll be back at some point. So now, my friends, we jump on over to the last game. Very well played to both players there. Imperator able to get the better engagements. The Soul Stealer was really good. The basically forcing the Empire into a blob, which the Empire isn't bad in blob fights. It has Runefang, it has Earthbloods, like it's pretty decent. But that frontal engagement with the repeater crossbows hammering into the demis, with a Soul Stealer, with a rear charging Black Dragon, like there was so many things there that were just so powerful for the Druchii. Imperator able to get those really, really good engagements. So now, my friends, let's go ahead and hide the screen while we jump on over. Of course, we're in our last best of 3 of the day. Imperator facing off against Arkin the Black. We're jumping on over to game 3, the rubber match, to decide the fate of the grand finals. And for this, we have Imperator on the Wood Elves and Arkin the Black on the Vampire Count. So let us load this bad boy up, guys, and have some fun. Oh yeah, this build is great. Oh, I love these builds. I really like the Wood Elf build here, just from a flavor perspective. I don't know how competitive it'll be against Arkin. So from what I've seen from Arkin the Black's gameplay in various tournaments and casts is he really loves Lord sniping. Like that's one of his favorite things. He loves to go after your characters and your casters and just goon them out. So what I've seen, and you guys will probably see here, is that it seems like Imperator, for the most part, is picking Lords that are relatively tough to snipe. And in this case, guys, let us load in to the battle 1-1 here in this series. Let us do it. So basically, for the forces of Imperator, he's got 2 Sisters of Thorn. Obviously, just for the free magic. It's a lot of free spells. You get 2 Shield of Thorns and 2 Curses. It's really, really good, actually. In the front line, he's going with a very defensive build. So Wildwood Rangers here. These guys are actually pretty good at cutting through, a Graveguard and whatnot. Granted, they'll take a beating themselves, but he's got Durthu and a Tree Man, so the double tree beatdown. He does also have a Branch Wraith, which is going to be giving 5 melee attack to all these nearby troops. War Dancer's back here. Eternal Guard. It is a dreaded tree box. So, if you're playing someone who likes to snipe, why not get these beastly trees that are very tough to snipe? So we'll see how that goes. So for Arkin's force, looks like he was more prepared for a kite build of sorts. He's got Fellbats, he's got Direwolves, he's got a lot of stuff to chase down missile units. But in this case, Imperator just coming in hot with a good old tree box. Granted, he's not ill-prepared. He does have 2 Terrorgeist. Terrorgeist are very good against single entity armored targets with their breath attacks and their cycle charging. Plus, he does also have, I think, a Blood Dragon Lord, I would imagine. No, Von Karstein Lord with Storm of the Night. So basically, you bring that to deal with Glades or Forest Dragons or the Air Force Kiting. So he was very much expecting that, it looks like. On the ground, he's got Graveguard, Skeleton Spears. The Mortis Engine will be very good here. There's no missiles to really punish it. So as long as Arkin plays efficiently with it and doesn't let it get caught by the trees and beaten down for free, this Mortis Engine could be a game winner because it'll drain down all those elite. And those guys are expensive. Wildwood Rangers are not cheap. So yeah, he certainly has some tools. I mean, he has plenty of anti-large. It's a well-rounded build. It has plenty of tools to deal with kites and also has a lot of gooning and anti-large potential here with the 2 Gooses. So we'll see if the Goose is going to get cooked. Some of the skirmishing coming in from the Sisters of Thorn, shooting into the Skeleton Warriors. Of course, they're shielded, but it looks like he might be going in for a charge. Of course, we saw this in Game 1. Imperator had some really nice charges. Here he comes, going on the Skeletons there, but he's got to pull back pretty quick, of course, because the Goose and the Hounds are nearby. Sisters of Thorn pretty good at kiting, of course. They throw their Javelins 360, if I'm not mistaken. And, yeah, they do also apply poison, so they can slow down a lot of these targets. There you go. And he's able to do 8 models off the Skeleton Warriors. Here comes the Sisters of Thorn. And the tree is not opting to stay in the tree line, although they could, honestly. If he wants to sit in the trees, he could, because Arkin has to attack here. And the Sisters of Thorn are attacking pretty much the entire time. So Arkin would eventually have to move into the tree line. But it looks like the trees are coming out. They've had enough of this. I think they actually get buffs when they fight in the trees as well. Yeah, they get bonus first large, and they get charge defense first large. I mean, that's really, really good against the vampire count monsters, especially against like the gooses and things like that. So Sisters charging in once again. Some of the Hounds are getting worn down, as are Skeletons, but pretty much not really a factor here. It's really going to come down to the big monster fight. So Arkin the Black dropping his summon here. Going to drop some Skeletons or zombies on top of the Wildwood Rangers, which might get some decent value, but for the most part, they're just going to get worn down. You know, Imperator will probably just sit here and wait, and then from there, he'll take these guys out, and he'll re-engage once they're dealt with. So one of the Ancient Tree Man looking like he wants to move in here. Both players kind of feeling each other out, looking for opportunities, looking for chinks in the armor. And here comes the breath attack coming in. Of course, Arkin, like I said, really likes to goon these characters. So going for a double breath attack using the Terrorgeist to try and snipe out the Branch Wraith, and it does pretty minimal damage. I would say that, you know, do people call him Impy? I think I saw that was what the nickname was, because saying Imperator over and over can be a little bit long, but nonetheless. Imperator here is advancing. You can see the Skeleton Warriors are going to be taking a righteous beating here from these Wildwood Rangers. They have a 48 melee attack against 22 melee defense and good overall damage. It's going to be quite scary. And oh, one of the Gooses lands, and it looks like Dirthu was able to karate chop him while I wasn't looking. Look at that damage! And the curse going down as well. Really nice initial engagement here from the tree. So Optimus Pine was able to really beat down that Terrorgeist and force him back, which is exactly what you need to do to win this engagement. In the meantime, Skeleton's going, and it looks like there's some sort of witchcraft going down. The Mortis Engine is now draining all of these units. That Mortis Engine needs to be dealt with, because it will be getting massive value by draining down Wildwood Rangers, which are a very expensive, you know, powerful unit. And Imperator sees this. He's going to be pulling over Dirthu to go after the Mortis Engine, at least force it back. Up in the sky, the Goose looking to engage again, and the Blood Dragon Lord, I think they're probably going to try and goon out this caster here. The Branch Wraith does use a very nice Shield of Thorns, giving physical resist and weapon damage to all these units here. And oh man, the Goose lands once again, trying to go after Dirthu. So Arkin basically saw an opportunity here. He saw Dirthu was a little bit overextended away from his support. He pulls in the Terrorgeist, he pulls in the other Goose, and the Mortis Engine with a 3-way attack here on Dirthu. And also the Von Karstein Lord. Dirthu's in a little bit of trouble. However, looks like the Sword of Daith is going to be going down. The Tree Man's coming in to help his fellow tree. And are they going to go after the Mortis Engine? It looks like it. The Mortis Engine taking huge damage since it's being used here. And the Wood Elves, like the rest of their army, is like super healthy. Like really, really good shape. Like barely any damage on the rest of the Wood Elves. So Arkin really needs to have these goonings work. Because the rest of the battle is certainly not going terribly efficiently for him. So here on the ground, the Von Karstein Vampire Lord is getting tree slapped pretty hard. The Goose gets tree slapped, as does this Mortis Engine. It seems like the Dirthu Star is really, really just doing a great job here in this fight. Now, as far as Arkin's army, he does have a couple of Hounds waiting in the wings, but that's like, you know, that's 1,500 gold that's not doing anything in this fight. It's just waiting for units to break so it can chase them off the battlefield, but if they don't break, you have 1,500 gold that just is not doing anything. Felbats here basically just trying their best, but the Von Karstein Lord getting slapped by Optimus Pine once again. Of course, they do have the support of Eternal Guard here, so there's a lot of anti-large, and a really nice Flock of Doom is going to be extremely efficient at dealing with the chaff and different units here. But again, you know, the vampires can heal, so the Gooses are going to get away. It looks like the Von Karstein Lord probably will be able to push away as well. And the Mortis Engine is getting a little bit danger low as well. The Sisters of Thorn are in guard mode, throwing their javelins at it. You can see this bad boy is getting kind of lowered here a little bit. And the Goose is going to be going in, and now Arkin realizes that they're a pretty big threat here to his Mortis Engine. He is going to be sending both Gooses to go after the Sisters of Thorn. The Hounds are being sent in the back to fight against the War Dancers here. Obviously not the best situation for them, but the Hounds will actually chew through the Eternal Guard eventually, or at least put some hurt on them. The Eternal Guard will probably win and hold that fight, but it's damage. You might as well fight with them at this point. So the balance of power does go in the favor here of the Tree People, as Dirthu and his Tree Man are just slapping the base and beating down this Goose so hard. Look at the damage coming in from these trees. I was not expecting it to have that kind of output, but Dirthu, man, he hits like a truck. 491, 78 melee attack, that is no joke. So War Dancers here continuing to chew through the forces. Arkin the Black falling back with his Goose, with his Mortis Engine, with the Von Karstein Vampire Lord. And now this other Goose is certainly in a little bit of danger as the Branch Wraith is charging it. I'm in danger! And you can see here he's got 4,100 HP. Is he going to be able to get away? The trees are coming for blood! Shield of Thorns is activated, and he does take another like 700 or 800 damage. Oof, that is brutal. Breath attack coming in from Arkin, still trying to goon out the caster, but the caster, of course, has been very well hidden amongst a lot of powerful units. And it seems like the Wood Elves are in a very dominant position here. They have a lot of Wildwood Rangers left. Arkin Black coming in for a nice pick right here. So that's despite everything else going badly, he's able to find a value pick right there on these Sisters of Thorn. But the other Sisters are sitting quite happily. The Graveguard will eventually lose to probably the overwhelming Wood Elf force here. There's a ton of Wildwood Rangers still in decent shape. There's War Dancers here, which will cut through chaff pretty well. And here in the distance, we do have the Wildwood Rangers chasing down the Mortis Engine, basically just trying to make sure it crumbles. And while they were in the forest there, they probably did get a bonus first large for a moment. Mortis Engine does heal itself, but it's also crumbling. Arkin will use an Invocation of Nehek, and is also going to be charging in with the Gooses. But Wildwood Rangers will put some damage on the Gooses, and Big Papa Zerthu's coming as well. So they need to be careful not to linger too long. And the Wood Elves just have so much in the infantry game, so much here. And the Wildwood Rangers are actually immune to psychology, so they can't be terror routed, which again, is a very powerful tool against Mortis Engines and Gooses and all sorts of stuff like that. So the Mortis Engine able to fall back, Hounds are still here, and it looks like we do have Graveguards still fighting, but the Wildwood Rangers are slowly cutting through them. 127 kills on those guys, that is no joke. And the Treemen are both in really good shape. Now, Arkin, if he wants to do this, he's going to have to get his characters and really start to goon things. He's going to have to catch Imperator in a mistake where something is in the open. He can really just do a ton of DPS to it because these trees are very tanky. Not only do they have massive armor, but they also have really good physical resist. So they're quite a threat there. Mortis Engine getting poked by a couple of loose javelins from the Sisters. Wildwood Rangers still continuing to cut through these guys up to 131. Some of the other Eternal Guard are going to be moving in. And the Von Karstein Vampire Lord will be engaging for a moment, but he could honestly take some damage here. Imperator will be sending in the Eternal Guards to shank these guys down. And here comes the trees. The Ents are rising and taking out the metaphorical Isengard here as the Skeleton Spearmen are crumbling down. And yeah, Zombie Summon is tar pitting a couple forces here, but Arkin's eventually going to have to fight. And when these Graveguard do get taken out and he has nothing left on the ground, he's going to have to engage with these single entities, and Big Papa Zerthu is going to be waiting for him. And what he'll do though is wait until he has a skeleton summon or a zombie summon. He'll use that as his attacking unit, and then go in and attack with his big characters and see if he can get a really lucky gooning, because Zerthu and the Treemen are almost 100%. Zerthu's he's tired. This tree his legs are tired, and Arkin charging in with the Mortis Engine, trying to get some free draining on this big blob here, which is good. But here comes the Tree Death Star guys advancing on. Sisters of Thorn being super valuable, actually, just getting those poking missile attacks, which really do add up over the course of the game. Wildwood Rangers are braced and ready to go. Call of the Wild is active, which is going to give them extra melee attack, putting them up to 53, which is better than Chosen. Pretty crazy, actually. And the trees are coming in. These Graveguard certainly going to have a really bad time. The Treemen, that one gets crunched in Zerthu's foot right there. Treemen, a while back, did get a pretty big AP buff, so even the regular Treemen does have decent AP values now. Mortis Engine charging in as well. Here he comes. Sisters of Thorn might actually opt to countercharge it. We'll see. Some of the Eternal Guard are getting some pokes against it, so it is taking a little bit of anti-large damage from those guys. And here comes the engagement. Like I said, the Zombie Summon being used as kind of the herald of the engagement. Hounds are charging in. The Mortis Engine definitely needs to get in here as well to start draining down these troops. And the trees are taking a little bit of damage, but the Treemen proving to be a massive anchor here against Arkin's forces. And yeah, you can see that one terror guy's taking quite a beating there. Sword of Death going down as well. Graveguard, I think, are still fighting to an extent. No, it looks like they're pretty much all gone. It's just zombies at this point. Hound charging in as well. And, he's really trying his hardest here, but I don't think he's going to be able to overcome the might of Zerthu and the Treeman. So here he comes. It's clobbering time as Zerthu chases and gets a huge blow on the Mortis Engine. But regardless, it did heal up quite a bit since we last looked, about 300 HP because it does heal itself. So at this point, the Hounds are going to be attacking here. Mortis Engine should be attacking as well. And let me go ahead and take a look here. Might have even been a little bit of a rule break here. Although the Hounds are still, I guess, chasing off these units. I'm not quite sure about that. But when the Hounds go, and if he's not attacking with the single entities, it would technically be a rule break there. But Mortis Engine kiting back a little bit. Hounds chasing off the Sisters, but they are all gone now. So now is the time he would have to attack, basically. And it looks like he does attack with the Terrorgeist right here. And the Von Karstein Vampire Lord will be coming in relatively soon as well. Bounce bar is actually pretty even, which I have no idea why it is. We'll do a little bit of fast forwarding here. As Mortis Engine just runs in circles, the Goose takes a beating from all these units here. And the Mortis Engine down to 900 HP. It's at its healing cap. And yeah, now it's time for the big fight. Sorry, I keep clicking on the wrong one here. So Zerthu's fighting. The big monsters, it's coming in. Mortis Engine charging. 897. The drain going down hard, but Big Papa Zerthu is not taking no for an answer, nor is his Treeman and his Branch Wraith. He's got his big old Optimus Pine Sword, chopping through these vampires. Going straight Rob Zombie, burning through the witches. This one Goose is going to be pulling back. Now, is there a zombie summon? So that technically, I'm pretty sure would be a rule break, pulling back like that. However, I don't think it really matters since the balance of power. Of course, if it were, they sent me the replay and told me there was a rule break, I would enforce it. But in that case, the game's over. The Wood Elves win. Imperator will be advancing on. There we go. And guys, we have our top four. The die is cast. Yeah, he can't cycle charge at that point, but it ended as it should. There you go. So that is going to be a victory for Imperator. He will be going on to the grand finals. All is set here, guys. We have Amovebacker facing off against Flying Taco and Falcon facing off against Imperator. Imperator. I don't know, when I say it too fast, it gets a little bit screwed up. It is over. That is it. So, guys, make sure to tune in next weekend. It's going to be Saturday, March 21st. We're going to be having the glorious grand finals. It will be live. So the next one will be live. Of course, you guys will see the army picking process and all that kind of good stuff. But that's that. That is the first round. Quite a day indeed. GG to Imperator. Falcon says it made his day. The Optimus Pine sword, dude, it is. He totally looks like Optimus Prime, like his sword. It's like a big orange sword. Good games for sure. Is it still a rule break to cycle charge if other units are still fighting? Gens, it is if the units that are still fighting are single entities. So in that case, like he had no zombies or hounds fighting anymore. So that would have been a rule break to cycle charge at that point. But had he summoned some zombies, for example, to fight, he could have then cycle charged while the zombies were still there. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. Good battles indeed. Thank you guys all so much for joining. Big congratulations to all the players who made it, but a special congratulations to Amovebacker, Flying Taco, Falcon, and Imperator. They are going to be advancing on to the next weekend's grand finals, the Big Pumbaa finals. It's going to be quite a bit of fun. So again, Amovebacker against Flying Taco, Falcon against Imperator. Those are going to be some serious battles. I'm very excited to see those games. And again, guys, it's going to be next Saturday. Not this Saturday, the next Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure to check your time zones. I'll, of course, do an announcement and things like that. But we're doing it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's time. Special thanks to all the mods today for helping out and slaying the foul Slanesh bots. I do appreciate that. I saw that they raided at some point. I don't know when, but they were here causing problems. And you guys stood valiantly, the shield wall of Sigmar, holding firm against the horrors of the old world. Thank you guys so much for that. And special thanks to all of you guys for your donations as well. From Cameron Brittig, we have John William as well, Anthony Damiani, Joe Leonard again, as always, thank you. Dave Fayran with a fat 50, Horse Armor, Pickled Buddha, and King Agizal. Thank you guys so much. You guys are aces. Couldn't do it without you guys. And now, my friends, we go into the grand finals next weekend. So, Falcon says XMT will prevail. There's actually 2 XMT members, I think, in here. So, yeah, the odds are decent. All right, guys, be safe. Do your thing. Hopefully you guys all have toilet paper. You can still get it in your stores. And we'll see you guys next weekend, all right? But honestly, there will be streams before that. I might do a stream on Sunday and then just a fun King of the Hill stream or something, or a best of 7. And I might also do... I'm going to be doing King of the Hills over the weekend. I might start a campaign next week with the new beta or something. We'll see. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it. Stand strong. And we'll see you guys next weekend.